Super Mario Galaxy! Woohoo!
Oh, I had the microphone muted. Alright, so here we are, back again. So we're playing on the original Wii. This is my first time booting up the Wii since God knows when. We're not on the Wii U, we're on the OG Wii. The last time I touched this... Ooh. I don't know, clearly Joe Exotic's on this. So it must have at least been sometime COVID-ish. But other than that, I couldn't tell you. But yeah, it must have been COVID era. Because yeah, COVID era... I don't know, I know at some point I lent this out to my brother. So, because there's no way I made a Joe Exotic meme. Me, and he loves to create stupid memes like that. I've also got a bunch on, like, 3DS. So, yeah, if I had to guess... But yeah, I have not played Mario Galaxy 2 since it released. At least I don't think I have. I remember playing it when it came out in, what, 2011, 2010-ish? And then I don't think I've touched it since. But it's cool to be back. It's been a long time. But I do enjoy this game. At least, I remember enjoying this game. It's definitely weird using a Wiimote again. Like, it has been so long since I've used a Wiimote. Can I be honest? I don't really like the Wiimote. I think it... Like, we all call out the N64, and rightfully so. It's not a great controller. I don't think the Wiimote's good either. Like, the motion controls, I get what they were going for. It's very clearly a throwback to the NES controller. It uses, you know, that similar D-pad 2-button layout with just an added A and B button. But no, I don't really like the Wiimote. I don't like its sharp angles. I have a nunchuck, and that really isn't doing anything special. Yeah, I'm not too impressed with the Wiimote. I so desperately wish this game had been on the Mario All-Stars collection. Because I liked the way All-Stars did Galaxy, using the gyroscope controls and whatnot. When they eventually bring over Wii Virtual Console, which I think will happen eventually, obviously we're going to get DS first. We're going to totally get DS first, but I think if we get Wii, every game should work like the 3D All-Stars Galaxy. I think that worked really well. I guess you could also do it like Skyward Sword, but I feel like that's probably more work. Yeah, we're just, you know, we played Galaxy, we beat it, what, 2 weeks ago? So we're gonna go start Galaxy 2. We're only gonna do, like, the first, like, 2 worlds tonight. I don't want to do too much. I'll be honest. So, in the show, we have a lot to talk about. Just looking at my notes, I've said in the past that, you know, there isn't really much gaming news in the period between E3 and Gamescom. Usually those are dry months. And to be fair, it's actually been a pretty active period this year. Not, you know, it's not been completely dry unlike other years. But usually when Gamescom happens is when stuff starts kicking up again. And it'll usually go all the way until, like, you know, the Game Awards. And then it becomes dry until usually February after that. Yeah, December and January are usually dry months. It's just, you know, when you've been talking about the industry as long as I have, you get used to it. So, I'm surprised at how much stuff we've had to talk about. But gosh, with Gamescom coming back this week, there has been so much shit. We have so many things to talk about. My notes this week are 7 pages. I have 7 pages of notes. Let's see, how many of those are just Kirby? 1, 2, 3, 4... 4 and about a third of a page. So yeah, I have 4 and a third pages just on Kirby Air Riders. We might potentially talk, usually when it comes to like directs and stuff, I usually talk about a direct for as long as the direct is. And there was a few weeks ago where we basically doubled it. We might legitimately double it this week. Sakurai talked about his game for 45 minutes. And if we talk about it for an hour and a half tonight, I will in no way be surprised. And then on top of that, so we have that. The Kirby Direct was huge. I've got 4 pages of notes just on Kirby. I then have another... let's just say a full page. I have a full page just on Gamescom, because Gamescom was also that Tuesday. And I kind of watched it. Like, I watched it a little bit. I saw some of the kind of funny reaction. It's Gamescom. One of the better Gamescoms, it seems, but it's still Gamescom. Then, for every other story, because there were others, I have another page. So that puts us at 6. A little over 6. It puts us a little over 6 pages. And then, WIBE takes us to 7. So we've got a lot. Not that I have much for WIBE, I want to say. I only have 3 things. I am not one of the people currently replaying Hollow Knight, even though I probably will start that playthrough again tomorrow. I just didn't get to it this week. I had other priorities, which we're going to talk about. Oh, yeah, fun fact, in the past week, I had a world record, and then had it stolen away from me, like, 2 to 3 hours later, before getting blocked in category extensions. Yeah, some things have happened this week. So we gotta talk about all of that. I got 2 food things. A place that I don't think has ever been on WIBE before, mainly because I don't go to it. Like, I will only get this place if somebody else is going. And one of my roommates just so happened to be going, so I was like, yeah, they had a new thing. Let me try this. Just by that description alone, you probably know what they are. But we'll get to that. And yeah, I had Whataburger tonight because I didn't want to cook. It's been a long day. I've been doing some cleaning, and I was like, I don't want to cook. Let me just get a Whataburger. And it's stuck in my throat. I don't know if it's just like a mucus buildup or something TMI like that. But ugh, I'm so full and I'm so kind of stuffed up. So yeah. I do not like this piranha more. I like the one in the first game. There's just something about the tail in the first game where you whack it, it goes flying out and then comes shooting back. That is so much more satisfying. The one in this game just isn't as good. The little dino piranha, just not as cool. Alright, let's talk about Kirby Air Ride. I'm going to break this up into 2 parts. We're going to do the Air Ride part, and then we're going to do the City Trial part. Just because we have so much to talk about. Alright, so for Kirby Air Riders, Sakurai did his direct where he talked about the game for 45 minutes. I personally love... One of my personal favorite things is to hear someone who's an expert in the field talk about a thing they're an expert at. It's why I love, like, informational videos so much. Because hearing someone who knows a lot of shit about certain shit is so interesting. And Sakurai is a master game developer. And hearing a master talk about their craft is so entertaining. So hearing Sakurai talk about his game for 45 minutes... Like, this didn't even need any big reveals. This could have just been Sakurai talking about Kirby Air Riders for 40 minutes, and I would have loved it. I know not everybody feels this way. There are some people who are like, oh, this direct didn't reveal anything big. This direct sucks. Why did Sakurai talk about this game for 45 minutes when, you know, the last Nintendo Direct was only 20 and gave us nothing? It's total apples and oranges. The Nintendo hate train is still chugging strong. I mean, we'll get to the PlayStation thing later, and how people are still blaming Nintendo for PlayStation and Xbox's actions, even though the real person to blame is the fucking president. We'll talk about all that. Oops, I accidentally hit a button. Alright, so he starts off explaining what Kirby Air Riders is. If you've never played the GameCube Kirby Air Riders, which I don't blame you, because traditionally, if I remember correctly, the original Kirby Air Riders is a cult classic. It is a very beloved game by the people who played it, but it's a cult classic, so it didn't exactly review well, and it sold even worse. I bet if you look on Metacritic, I wouldn't be surprised if Kirby Air Ride, the original GameCube, sits at like a 68. I remember it being a pretty controversial game during its time. Okay, I remember hearing about it being a controversial game. Admittedly, I never played it when it came out. I picked it up years later. Yeah, it's sitting at a 61. I did remember that correctly. User score is a lot higher. User score is at an 8.2. But critically, yeah, this game was pretty panned during its day. And I kind of get it. If you've never played it, while it would be cool for it to be released on Nintendo Switch Online, I don't think that's going to happen. I think Tim Geddes made an excellent point when he said, like, they're not going to re-release the game because they don't want people playing the original getting frustrated with it and deciding not to buy the new one. I totally get that point, because Kirby Air Ride is a game with an extremely high learning curve. I don't want to say it's hard to learn, easy to master. It's probably hard to learn, hard to master. It's the opposite of Smash Bros. Smash Bros is, I think, a very easy game to learn and a very hard game to master. Kirby Air Riders, I would say, I keep calling it Air Ride. Kirby Air Ride is the exact opposite. It is a very hard game to learn. But if you can get past that, it's probably a little easier to master. At least that's how I think about it. I don't remember when I first played the game. Definitely at some point during the Wii era. Because I mentioned when we reacted to the stream, it's one of the few Kirby games, or one of the few GameCube games I actually own. 90% of the GameCube games I've played, I borrowed from somebody. You know, Chibi Robo, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, Pikmin's 1 and 2, other examples. The only GameCube games I actually own are like Luigi's Mansion and Kirby's Air Ride. Even my favorite Mario Party 6, I don't actually own. Yeah, I didn't really own that many GameCube games. I didn't even really own a GameCube controller until, like, basically right before the Wii U came out. I'm talking like, yeah, like probably the area this game came out, like 2010, 2011. I just wasn't a GameCube guy. What can I say? Again, I had a PS2. I played Shadow of the Colossus, which is a game that came out way later than I thought it did. If you ask, in my memory, Shadow of the Colossus is like 2001, 2002. Nah, it was like 2005. It's way later in the PS2's lifespan. But yeah, so it's a very difficult game. The original game, you had the air ride mode, you had top spin, which was like a top-down, like, I don't want to say arcade game. It kind of, if you ever played like a Mario Party game with like slot cars, I'd say that kind of is what I compare it to. Kind of reminds me of like some of the Marble Race stuff, like similar like track layouts and whatnot. I'll be honest, we have seen no evidence that top spin, I'm like 90% sure it's called top spin. We have seen no evidence that top spin is returning. And yeah, for the like 2 or 3 top spin fans, I guess it kinda sucks. But for everybody else, yeah, no, nobody cares about top spin. Fuck top spin. Yeah, I think that's a fail boat. He said that. And yeah, I completely agree with him. Yeah, there's like 2 or 3 top spin fans, but nobody cares. The one that everybody wanted was City Trial. Interestingly enough, like he kind of builds towards the reveal of City Trial, but you actually see it early when he talks about lessons. You can actually see the City Trial. There is like a City Trial tutorial in that. Like probably just a few minutes into the direct. We all knew it was going to be here. It was always going to be here. But yeah, City Trial is the game mode everybody cares about. It's the one they remade in Smash Bros. 3DS, which is super underrated, by the way. If you have I wish the 3DS mode had come over to the other systems, the Wii U and the Ultimate, because I would take whatever I think it was called Smash Tour. I would take Smash Tour over every other like pointless multiplayer mode in Smash Ultimate any day of the week. Smash Tour was decent. Its biggest sin was that it was on 3DS. And, okay, there was a few other problems. But to be fair, it looks like this new game's fixing that. We'll talk about it. So, he starts off by he starts off the direct, comparing it to Mario Kart, saying that, the games are different, but they're also kind of similar. The big thing about, how Smash Bros. Is a 2-button fighter? Like, all the other fighters, you have to learn, like, combo. At least you used to. Yeah, Street Fighter really changed that, which is one of the reasons I like Street Fighter 6. It changes stuff like that. Streamlines it. Yeah, Smash Bros, is a very simplistic fighter. Kirby Air Riders is a racing car game with only a single button. At least it was. This new one has 2 buttons. We'll get to it. But it's very simple. It seems very simplistic, which is why it's kind of crazy to say that it's difficult to learn. But it plays Kirby Air Ride plays like no other racing game. Like, he makes the comparison to Mario Kart. It plays nothing like Mario Kart. There are some people who will say it's not a racing game. And while I definitely disagree with that, especially because, Sakurai himself says it's a racing game, I get where people are coming from. At least in theory. Because it is very different. But I love it. Mostly. So after that, he gets into some of the racers. Of course, Kirby and all the Kirby colors are back. Because in the original, you could only really play as Kirby. There were moments with Dedede and Meta Knight, but they were kind of like unique racers. They had their unique vehicles. I don't even think Meta Knight had a vehicle. Right? They played differently. In this game, they're kind of trying to streamline it, where it's more about choice. You can now play as the racer you want to play as. So if you want to play as Kirby, if you want to play as King Dedede, Meta Knight, Bandana D, which, hey, Bandana D is kind of, he's like a fan favorite. It's kind of like, imagine if, like, Mario had, like, a special Goomba that everybody liked. And, not the one, I'm not talking about the ones from, like, Paper Mario that people kind of like. But yeah, like imagine if there was like a special Goomba, like Goomba with cowboy hat, that everybody just loved. That's kind of the comparison I can make for Bandana D. Like he's a Waddle Dee with a bandana who waves a spear. And he's got this cool helicopter attack that I love, but he's just, you know, Waddle Dee with a spear. He's nothing too crazy. And then Chef Kawasaki is back. You know, the cooking ability. I will always think of the Kirby anime, because I did watch it as a kid. But yeah, so those are our characters, and now they can ride any... These are our riders, and they can ride any machine. They're not restricted to certain machines, you know. King Dedede's only restricted to the wheelie. Meta Knight doesn't have one and only glides. Nope, they can now use anything. Everything's been streamlined, which is good. Next we found out Shinya Takahashi, the president of Nintendo. Basically, while there had been these talks, rumors behind the scenes, that Sakurai only agreed to make this game. Or, okay, let me put it like this. Nintendo asked Sakurai to make the next Smash Bros. He said yes, but on the condition that he got to make Kirby Air Riders first. That he chose to do the next Smash Bros. In exchange to make a game he actually likes. Because, well, yes, you know, Sakurai's been doing Smash Bros. For like 25 years, and I make the jokes about, like, the let Sakurai take a break pass. He loves making games, he loves these characters. Smash 6 still may be coming, it may just, you know, Smash Ultimate may just get, you know, another boost. We don't entirely know at the moment. I don't think Smash 6 is as prevalent as people think. Sakurai basically deconfirms this rumor with how he puts it here. But he basically says the president of Nintendo came to him, along with the president of HAL, CEO of HAL, and came to him and were like, hey, would you like to do another Kirby Air Ride? Would you want to do that? And Sakurai was like, well, do you want me to do that? Because, you know, you're working on a new Mario Kart. And they were still like, yeah, we'd want you to do that. We think, you know, it's been enough time. And so while he was finishing up the DLC for Smash Bros., while he was doing his stuff for his YouTube channel, he wrote the proposal for this game, and Nintendo accepted his proposal. So that's how this game came to be, which, yeah, does kind of contradict the narrative that we had heard up to this point, but I'm kind of glad, because what Sakurai tells us here is that both he wanted to make the game, and Nintendo wanted to make the game. It's not, oh, well, this is his project that he gets to do before the next Smash Bros., right? That, you know, Nintendo's letting him do it, whatever. No, this is a desire from both groups, which I think will overall just make a better product. Which I have no reason to doubt Sakurai. I know some people would say differently, but I see no reason to doubt him. Yeah, like I said, it plays very similar to the original. You choose a machine, you choose a rider, it's auto acceleration, which, like I was saying, I like auto acceleration in Mario Kart. I think it is kind of underrated. I do sometimes worry that, like, I'm not going fast enough with auto acceleration, but I do think auto acceleration is a good thing. I admittedly like how 8 did it better. I think 8 did auto acceleration better than World. Because in World, if you, like, have to, like, brake or something, it turns off auto acceleration until you press A again. Whereas in 8, it's just always on. And, you know, you can use your drifts and whatnot to counteract it. I think it works better in 8. Hot take. But yeah, it's one button controls, you know, you use your one button to brake, to drift, to boost, to charge, but you can also glide. You know, you can pull back on the stick when you take jumps to glide, and you can go all over the place, all over the city trial. You know, there's a lot of freedom in gliding. Because kind of like how Kirby game's a platformer where you can fly, City Trial's a racing game where you can just kind of fly over the whole thing. But, of course, you know, they're adding a second button to this game. So it's... Because in the GameCube era, you just use the A button. If you've seen the GameCube controller, you've got this big A button, and that's all it used. It used the... I have a GameCube controller in my hands right now. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's got a big A button, and that's all you needed. In this new game, it's, you know, you control everything with the B button, but now you can use the Y button to do your special. And your special can be used by any character. Each character has, like, their own special abilities. Special abilities this time can... In the original game, they were just attacking moves. You used sort of special to attack other enemies. Or maybe I'm thinking of power-ups. In the original, power-ups only attacked. And in this game, both power-ups and specials can both attack and boost. So, like, King Dedede's activates his Rocket Hammer, which gives you a giant boost forwards. Bandana Waddle Dee uses his Spear Helicopter, which gives him a massive boost forwards. Whereas Kirby attacks directly in front of him. The other one, and each power-up has its own special ability. So if like you're using fire, you'll do a big fire in front of you. But if you're using like beam or jet, charge, I don't have them all written down. Oh, ice. Ice is the big one. If you're using ice, you turn into a snowball. And you get the snowball ability from Kirby Return to Dreamland, which is really cool. That just sounds like a lot of fun. So right, I previously mentioned that this game has a hard learning curve, but they're adding lessons into this, so that way you can go into the lessons, you can learn all about the game's different abilities, the game's mechanics, which, I'll be honest, even as someone who has played the original, I'm probably going to use the lessons anyways, just because it's been, like I said, years. It's been years since I've played Kirby Air Ride. And I probably do need some of those lessons again. Because it is a hard game to learn. I keep saying that. Don't let that persuade you away from the game. If you can do that difficulty curve, it is a fantastic game. But that's kind of why it didn't review so well. Is because a lot, you know how infamously bad game critics are? If they can't figure out the game's high learning curve, they're gonna hate the game. But if you can figure out that learning curve, you're going to have a great time. So getting lessons is fantastic. They talked about machines. You have a bunch of classics from the original returning. The Warp Star, the Wing Star, the Wagon Star, the Wagon Star, the Wheelie Star, and the Shadow Star are all back from the original. But you also have a bunch of new ones. And you have new types, because in the original you had wheelies and, I guess, stars, carts, whatever, machines. In this game you have new types. So you have the Paper Star, which is a lightweight glider star. You have the Bulk Star, which is a lot heavier. You have the Swerve Star, which when you press one of the two buttons, the drift button, it literally stops. It just straight up stops. You point it in a new direction, and it starts going again. I don't think the Swerve Star was in the original. There's a part of me that thinks it might be, but I don't think it was. It's been so long. I just know the Swerve Star, it seems neat, but I could see that being a bitch and a half to play. But it reminds me a lot of the electric ability from Sonic Colors. That's kind of like aesthetically, that's kind of what it reminds me of. You have Chariots now, which is like a car with wheels. You have the Tank Star, which kind of seems to like, once you aim it in a direction, it just keeps going in that direction until you change it. Like there's a lot, basically you can't control like tilting left and right. You can only do that by drifting, which is interesting. And then of course they talked about how if your star breaks, because I don't remember if stars could break during races in the original. I know they could break during, what's it called? City Trials. But I don't think they can break during races, but in this new one they can. And if it starts to break, you actually get a speed boost. So, you know, you can take that risk of, like, having your machine broken a little bit, but hey, you get a speed boost off of that. That's cool. And then, so, if you've played Mario Kart World, and basically any Mario Kart since like Wii, one of Nintendo's big problems is that each kart has a bunch of different stats. Some of them they tell you, they tell you weight, they tell you, speed, top speed, they tell you acceleration. But karts also have a bunch of hidden stats that even though people genuinely care, like people care about karts like mini turbo stats. They want to know the difference between like land speed, air speed, and water speed, because those are all different stats. But when designing Mario Kart, for some reason, Nintendo thinks we don't care about that. Shit. And they just don't tell us any of those. They're all in the game, but Nintendo just refuses to tell us stats. Sakurai's like, nope, we're gonna tell you fucking everything. You want to know stars' weights, you want to know their classes, you want to know, how their different speeds work, their drifting. We're gonna give you every little thing. Would it have been nice to have, like, numbers instead of bars? Probably, but I feel like getting what we're getting is so much nicer than what Mario Kart's giving us, which is not nothing, but it's basically, like, one step away from nothing, which kind of sucks. After that, they talked about more riders, because how he did this direct is that basically every few minutes he would reveal some new riders and some new karts. I've compiled those into 2 parts, but yeah, every like little while, like, oh, he was talking about a new mechanic. Hey, here's a new rider. It's Cappy. Hey, here's a new rider, Starman. He kind of broke things up a little bit, which is. I love character reveals. I think that's what it's getting at. Like, we love Smash Bros. Reveals, but I think it's more basic than that. I just like character reveals. When Sakurai's little text, when it shows like not a silhouette, but like a character, and it says like, Starman is here. That is the most satisfying thing in the world. I just want every game to introduce characters like that. Silksong, the Bug Knight is here. It's so fucking satisfying. I loved it every time that happened in this direct. So what other characters did we get? This is where he confirmed that any rider can use any machine. He started off with Cappy, like I said earlier. Cappy is not Cappy from Mario. He's the little mushroom guy in Kirby, and he can like lose his mushroom hat. And it kind of works like Mimikyu in Pokémon, where he gets like basically one free hit where he can't take any damage, which is nice, I guess. We got Magolor. Huge. Magolor is maybe my favorite Kirby character. Either Magolor or Marks. I love them both. I see no reason Marks isn't going to appear in this game. Because here's something that since Smash Bros, probably Wii U, people have wanted Bandana D in Smash Bros. Because we have only had 3 Kirby characters, and people want Bandana Waddle Dee, as he'd make a great. I've also been rooting for Marks, and we kind of got him. Kind of. But the thing is, there's been these rumors for a long time, over a decade now, that Sakurai only likes the Kirby characters created during his era. So, that's the original Kirby, King Dedede, Meta Knight, Marks, stuff like that. Anything after Sakurai stopped working on Kirby, he doesn't care for. And that has kind of more or less felt true the past decade. But now with this game, it's like, no, he's going beyond that. We're getting some modern day Kirby characters. And I am so happy, because I love Magolor. I am so excited to see Magolor here. That is so cool. He's definitely the one I want to play as. I've also fallen for the meme, but we'll talk about it in a second. We got Gooey, our little spawn of dark matter himself. But, he's Gooey. He spins on his tongue. When he uses the sword, he's holding the sword with his tongue. It's Gooey. Who doesn't love Gooey? We got Waddle Doo, the beam attack guy. If you have not seen... So, Failboat did his reaction, because he's a huge Air Riders fan. And in it, Waddle Doo gets revealed, and he's just like, no! No! You can't do this to me! I can't go through another decade of beam attack! Because whenever I do the beam attack, that's a reference to a Failboat video, specifically his Planet Robobot series, even though it's extended far beyond that at this point. I highly recommend you go look at those videos. The beam attack thing is just so funny. Perfectly cut moment. You know, there were all these rumors about us getting a Planet Robobot remake on Switch. I'm kinda sad that never happened. I really want to play Planet Robobot again, but I don't want to pull out a 3DS to do it. I would love to play it on a TV. Like, fuck, man. So we got Waddle Doo. Cool. I don't know if that confirms that Beam is gonna be an ability in this game, but I don't see why it wouldn't be. We got Knuckle Joe. Hey, yeah, okay, cool, I guess. We got Susie, you know, the fucking kinda dead daughter of an evil guy who gets taken over by a robot. Yeah, it's really tragic when you think about it. But hey, another cool character from modern era Kirby. Love that. We got the final character they revealed was Starman. So, Starman is the high jump ability. His whole thing is that he's just a star. He's a little yellow star. He does not have a face. He only has a cape. He's got no eyes, nothing of the sort. He's just a cape. And the top of his star is split open. It reminds me of like a fish mouth. Like if you've ever seen like a cartoon fish mouth, it kind of looks like that. That's what Starman's head reminds me of. But he's a... oh, fuck. Okay, I'm not doing this. Fuck that. Starman is a mostly underrated character because high jump is an awful ability. High jump is one of those abilities in Kirby games that, you know, the less you think about, the better. High jump, throw, ball. You know, it's one of those abilities that should be forgotten, but comes back every once in a while because, I don't know. But Starman as a character, he's dumb, but he's dumb in a very charming way. And him showing up in this direct has kind of reminded everybody of it. Especially because we got a Superman movie over a month ago. Everyone has been making the obvious comparisons to Superman. Because, you know, in the lead up to Superman, a bunch of people made edits using the David Bowie song about the Starman. That I'm like 90% sure is called Starman, but the fact that I'm not 100% means that I'm a fake fan. Whatever. People use... So when making Superman edits, people use the Starman song. And now we have a character called Starman. So a bunch of people have been like re-editing Starman clips to make him look like Superman. And it's so good. I like every edit I have seen. A lot of people have like redone like Superman pictures like from the movie to make it Starman. Someone literally modded the 2025 Superman movie of the scene where he's flying to the Fortress of Solitude and replaced it with Starman. They fucking modded this movie somehow. Either way, it looks fantastic. Everybody loves Starman, and rightfully so. Again, Starman's always kind of been whatever to me. But yeah, I now love Starman with the rest of you. I think this is way better than the cow. I liked the cow in Mario Kart World. That was kind of like a ha-ha funny joke meme. This is where I'm like, okay, no, this is great. It's the Superman connection that's really selling it for me. But yeah, I love that. They talked about how each rider has their own special ability, you know, so each rider can do something like unique, you know, and then also each rider can now use copy abilities. Because normally Kirby is the only one who can do that. But Sakurai and the development team realized, like, hey, if they only gave Kirby copy abilities, that would make him kind of OP, and there'd be no reason to choose anybody else. So for the first time in the series, Meta Knight, King Dedede, you know, Waddle Dee, Waddle Doo can use any copy ability. And I think that's fantastic. I really do. That's a great change. Lore implications, who gives a shit? I don't think it matters. I just really like it. I like them on GUI, where he's got the little sword tongue thing. That's really cute. When it comes to copy abilities, we have Fire, Sword, Bomb, which the interesting thing about Bomb, in most modern Kirby games, Bomb is more of like a wizard hat. Like, it's like this, like, cone. It's like a cone, like a shiny... I don't know how we died there. Well, I know we got crushed, but you know what I mean. It's like a... Bomb is usually like a wizard hat. Because Bomb and Sword used to just be the same hat, but one was blue and one was, you know, green. Which, why Bomb is like a blue hat, like a Link hat, I have no idea. I don't know if that's a reference to something, if it's just... They thought the blue hat looked good on Poppy Brothers and Poppy Brothers Jr., so they just stuck with it. I don't know. Either way, they went back to the blue hat for Bomb, and I'll be honest, I'm not really complaining. It's very nostalgic. I've seen a lot of people point out that Kirby's design in this game in general feels very nostalgic. Like, they kind of tweaked his design a little bit to look less like Star Allies and more like some of the OG Kirby games. And yeah, I have no problem with that. They also went back to the OG DDD design, which, don't get me wrong, I like the new DDD design. I genuinely, in like Star Allies specifically, or Forgotten Lands, I mean. In Kirby and the Forgotten Lands, I think DDD looks fantastic. But I don't hate the old design either. I think they're both good designs. This isn't like that new Cracker Barrel logo that has somehow turned into a right-wing dong whistle. I don't even have time to begin with explaining that. But this isn't like that. This is just genuinely like, hey, look at this cool design. They're both good. At least in my opinion. Other things, we have Wheel, we got Mike, Cutter, Jet, Steel Ball, which has steel... I know Metal's been an ability, and I know Ball has been an ability. And Metal could turn into a Steel Ball. But I don't think there... I don't remember there ever being a specifically Steel Ball. Plasma's back, which, hot take, we had Spark. At some point in the series, they fused Spark and Plasma into the same ability. And when that happened in like, probably like 2004-ish, and since then, they've mostly used Spark, right? It's mostly been called Spark in every game, except Planet Robobot. And Planet Robobot, they called it Plasma again. And hot take, I like the name Plasma more. If I had to choose the name between Spark and Plasma, I'd rather the ability just permanently be called Plasma. I think merging the two abilities was a good idea. I definitely think the two abilities needed to be merged. And I like the change they're making in this game that you no longer have to waggle the stick to charge it up. That's good. But I like the name Plasma more than I do Spark. I just think it's a cooler name. And then technically when he's talking about abilities, he doesn't say ice, but we know Snowball's in the game, so that means ice has to be in the game. And there might be others, but those are just the ones he said. He talked about the... Okay, so now he gets specifically into the air ride mode. Instead of, you know, Mario Kart's crazy 24 races, he even kind of makes fun of that. It's just... 24 racers. It's only 6 riders per race. So instead of having to worry about a lot of competition, you only have to worry about 5 other people. Because they wanted to balance the racers. So that way, you know, less racers per race means that races can start quicker, they'll be more full, and he just thinks there's a higher chance of winning. You know, you in theory have a 1 in 6 chance of winning, which just overall makes the game more fun. Because that's what Sakurai cares about. Much to the dismay of Smash Bros. Players, I'm looking at you Melee fans, Sakurai doesn't give a shit about your competitive game. He wants the game to be fun, first and foremost. And he will gladly destroy everything in the sake of making the game more fun. And I respect him for it. It's my biggest problem with competitive Smash, is that given the chance, competitive Smash Bros. Will take all the fun out of the video game. It's a hot take, but I stand by it. As someone who has played competitive Smash, and still kinda does, at least on very minor levels. Yeah, I think competitive Smash Bros. Is designed to take all the fun out of the video game. Not that you can't have fun, but it's like systematically set up to try to destroy it. Hot take. Right, he talked about how a big mechanic is, right, well, you've only got one button to move, to, you know, drift. A big element of the game is all about drafting. That, you know, when you're riding along, you leave a trail behind you, and it's important to go in other people's trails to get their draft. That even more so than, like, Mario Kart. Which I think in the new Mario Kart, drafting is huge. Drafting, in my opinion, is super important in Mario Kart World. It's even more important in Kirby. And then he talked about on online races for both Air Ride and City Trials. Once you finish a race, you don't have to wait for all the other racers to finish. It'll immediately boot you into loading screens, so that way you can get started in the next race immediately. No waiting in lobbies, no taking your sweet time. It wants you to get back into the game quickly. Which, again, after playing Mario Kart, I am so happy. Because Mario Kart World, again, it's a decent game, but it has so much fucking waiting in it that is just entirely unnecessary. That, you know, having this is so nice. He did an example of Air Ride. He, you know, showed him doing, I want to say, the ocean track, which was called... I can't remember what it... Let's just call it Onion Ocean, for lack of an official term. But we have an ocean track, and the whole theme of the ocean track is, like Moses, Kirby has parted the Red Sea, and you're literally driving through the part. So fucking cool. I've seen some people bitch about visuals. You know, I've seen some Sephiroth posting on Twitter that, oh, this looks like a Windows 98 game. Like, fuck right off. Like, again, fun is illegal on the internet. So, like, I don't expect anything else, but yeah, I think the game looks great. I really do. But yeah, his whole race, you can... I guess I'll talk about rules here in a second. Courses, there's Floria Fields, which is, you know, your standard grass one. The main course we've seen so far. You have Cavernous Corners, which reminds me of like a Great Cave Offensive style thing, a bunch of crystals and whatnot. You have Cyberpunk Highway, which is, I think, supposed to be like a take on like the final course from the original Air Riders, but it reminds me a lot of like Electrodrome from Mario Kart 8. Looks good. And then you have Mount Amber Falls, which is, you know, it's the autumn-themed level from... It's Maple Tree Way from Mario Kart 8, but in Kirby colors, and I think it looks great. So I think all the and then of course there's the ocean one. All the courses we have seen so far look fantastic. The music sounds great in all of them, because, you know, it's Kirby music. Of course it's fantastic. At this point he talked about some more machines. So you have the Turbo Star, which I think was faster. It's like more of like a dragster thing. You have the Slick Star, which I think the Slick Star was like, it was like the one with all the like the pink orbs, and right, it's supposed to be, you know, slipperier, but you know, it's got its own benefits of whatever. The Rocket Star, which is while you're drifting, you're like building up this rocket power that you can boost off of. The Rex Wheelie, which is like a bigger, tankier wheel. And then the Battle Chariot, which is a bigger, tankier chariot. Again, some great looking vehicles. There's definitely, it reminds me of some of the stuff from Kid Icarus Uprising, and I say that as a good thing. Man, there's another game I'd love to play again, but I'm not, unless it gets like a port or something, I'm not booting up a 3DS to play that game. God, with an actual control scheme, that will be one of the greatest games of all time. But at the moment, fuck man, that game's hard to go back to. Not that it's bad, it's just kind of hard to get back to. He talked about in-game rules, so kind of like Smash Ultimate, where you can go in and you can adjust all the game rules. You can do the same thing here. So you can change the game tempo, which is, I'm presuming, the speed. So it's like the, you know, the Mario Kart 100, 50, 150. You can change versus formats, so you can change how versus works. You can change the number of riders. I don't know if that means you can add more, but I definitely think that would mean you could add less. You can change the laps. So currently, I think by default, it's 1 lap. But hey, if you want to do more, it looks like you're probably going to be able to do more, which is a great change. That is a great change, in my opinion. Vehicle destruction. You can turn on vehicle destruction, so that way if your vehicle gets destroyed, you actually DNF, kind of like an F-Zero game, where when your vehicle destroys, you're just out. That's I think, an interesting change. So all those game rules are great. I'm sure there are others we didn't see, but I think everything there is a good change. And with that, let's talk about City Trial, shall we? So City Trial, in the classic Kirby games, as Sakurai explains it, it very much works on a pattern. There's a specific game loop that the developers have intentionally designed, where you start off, you drive around the map, you look for a better machine. You know, you switch to, you know, a paper star, or a wagon, or a wheelie. You know, you look for something better than the default vehicle, which is a compact star. From there, you start collecting power-ups. There are a bunch of different power-ups throughout the map. There are events that can get you more. And then at the end, after your 5-minute timer is up, you then go to a stadium where all the players compete at the same event. You typically, in Kirby Air Ride, it was picked from like 1 of 5 events. Some events are like battle, some of them are races. There's probably more than 5. Just 5 is the first thing that comes to my mind. But right, you compete at these different stadiums. One is completely random. So like, if you built a bulky vehicle, you're probably better in like a combat thing. Whereas if you picked a faster vehicle, you're probably better at a race. If you picked a very lightweight vehicle, you're probably better at gliding. You know, you design different vehicles for different purposes. And that's the basic gameplay loop. It seems super simple, but it is so much fun. City Trial is the best thing to come out of Kirby Air Ride. Sakurai even admits that this is the main event. This is why everybody's here. And like, rightfully so. It is so much fun. I'm so excited for, you know, a new generation of people to play City Trial for the first time. It is so good. He shows off the new map. It's called Skya? So it's this brand new map. There's only one in this game. There's a part of me that kind of hoped we were going to get multiple maps. We're only getting one, but it does look like a nice map. There's a part of me that thinks it feels a little small. Like, I kind of wish it was a little bigger, like because it basically, it feels the same size as the original. There's, you know, it seems like there's more underground stuff in this one, which is good. I think because there's a little underground in the original, if I remember correctly, like there's a subway, but, you know, having more underground is for the best. So yeah, I'm excited. I think the new map looks good. There's a bunch of different biomes. You know, there's a flower field. There's the city part of City Trial, the urban district. There's a plaza. There's caves. There's a forest. There's a subway station. They added a coliseum, which is cool. They added an underground mall. There's a sea area with a pirate ship. And then there's a volcano, which the volcano has like a dragon mouth, which looks awesome. There's also seems to be like a floating platform high above the map, which we don't really see, like we see it from a distance, and there's like a giant tree on top, you know, a Crystal Gem apple tree or whatever. Either way, it looks cool. It reminds me of the Yggdrasil map from Smash Bros, which I know is based off of Yggdrasil from Dragon Quest, but still, that's what it reminds me of. I think it's a good looking map. I guess I just kind of wanted a little bit more. You know, while the normal races are 6 players, these races are 16. You can do 16 players, online, local. For local, you have to use multiple switches, but you can connect up to 8 switches together. So I think in theory that means you could have 2 people per switch. Awesome. That sounds awesome. And of course you can go solo against CPUs, which to be fair, I think most of the time I've personally put into City Trial has been solo against CPUs. Just being fair here. But of course, you know, it's got online, that's what we want. Like I said earlier, you start with a compact star, so this is like just a worse version of the default star. But you know, there's a new feature where you can now quickly move between machines. So like in the previous game, you had to jump off of your machine, go to a new one and jump on it. It can be kind of slow. So in this new one, while you can still dismount your machine and whatnot, if you're driving up to a machine, you can hit Y and just quickly hop over to it. That is a fantastic change that's going to speed things up so much. You can also steal opponents' machines. So like if you're driving by like Meta Knight and he has a machine you want, you can just steal it from him if you hit him hard enough. That is so cool. That's a fantastic change. Of course, the quick spin is back. You know, there's boxes to break and whatnot, and you can do a quick spin to do that. Speaking of, you know, you break the boxes to get power-ups. Different power-ups. Boost is back. You can increase your top speed. You can increase your turn, your glide, your offense, your defense, your charge. I want to say weight is another one. There's a bunch of different stats, and you can get that, like, you can get some of them pretty high. Like, I think you can get them up to, like, 16. He does kind of warn, like, hey, you shouldn't focus too much on, like, one stat, because if you make, like, a really fast vehicle, it's gonna be easy to break and very hard to control. So, you know, you want to try to get things more balanced, maybe focus on, like, one of the things. While you're playing City Trial, different events can happen. There's one that makes items big. There's one that rains down massive Gordos. Secret rooms can pop up, and inside the secret rooms you find a bunch of power. You find a bunch of a specific power up. Meteors rain down from the sky, which again I think was in the original. An unidentified pillar will show up, and you and other players can work together to destroy it. There's portals. Portals will appear that will take you to different areas in the map. Not dissimilar to like a Ratchet and Clank, I think. It's a neat idea. Bosses? There are 2 bosses that we know about so far. Krakow. Fucking Krakow, man. I hate Krakow. All my homeboys hate Krakow. And then Dynablade, which Dynablade looks fantastic. Man, they need to make a sequel to Forgotten Lands and put Dynablade in it. I'd love to fight Dynablade again. Honestly, I would kind of love for them to just remake Superstar, but in 3D. Like, do like kind of like what Final Fantasy VII Remake, do that, but for Superstar and Superstar Ultra. That would be fantastic. Thank you very much. And then, so those are most of the events, but there are 2 special ones. Short Race and Dust Up Derby. Short Race is like, hey, this, you know, like in a Battle Royale game, right? The zones will, there'll be like a zone on the map that the game tells you to go to. And if you go to this zone, it'll start counting down. And if, you know, players enter it while it's counting down, eventually it'll start a race where you have to drive across the city. And based on how you place in the race, it determines what power-ups you get. So, you know, if you get first, you're going to get a lot of power-ups, where if you get last, you're not going to get anything. And while you're doing the race, no other players can interfere, because it's not required to do the race. That's the thing. It's a high-risk, high-reward sort of thing, that like, hey, if you're doing the race and you do well, you're going to get a lot. But if you do the race and you lose, you're not going to get much. So I like that. I like that idea. The other one is Dust Up Derby, and it's a battle royale. All the players, you know, they enter the Coliseum, and then you race, and if you, depending, for each kill, you get rewards. So, you know, if you kill 3 other players, you're gonna get a bunch of rewards, even if you don't win. But of course, if you do win, you get bonus rewards. That's really cool. I think that is really cool. It just makes it makes the city trial more interesting by forcing players to either race or fight earlier in the match. I'm all here for that. I think this new Dust Up Derby and Short Race, I think, are fantastic ideas. In his gameplay demo, we get to see Dust Up Derby, and they do the thing where in, like, Smash Bros, you know how, like, the final hit is, like, really satisfying? It, like, zooms in, the screen goes red. You know, it's a really nice, it's a really cool thing that I know other fighters do. I think Street Fighter 6 did it as well. But, like, this game is doing that as well. So while you're doing Dust Up Derby, it'll, like, zoom in and, like, highlight your kill. And it is so satisfying. Also, even though it is high risk, high reward, if you have a vehicle, a machine you really like, and you do the Dust Up Derby, even if you lose, your vehicle does not get destroyed. That's nice. That's really, that incentivizes more players to do it, I would say. So after your 5 minutes are up, the time's up, you've collected all your stats, you do a stadium. Now, in the previous game, it would just pick one of the random stadiums. And basically, how Sakurai talked about how they thought about it was that, right, with random stadiums, and especially now with 16 players, that means you have a 1 in 16 chance of winning. And, like, let's say, like, oh, the random stadium is like a race, and you made a bulky vehicle, that basically guarantees you're gonna lose. And that kinda sucks, right? Well, he thinks about that may suck, but it also might be the, like, ambiguity of things that make it fun. They were basically between, like, a rock and a hard place. So their solution in this one, and I kind of misinterpreted this when I was watching it, but how I understand how it works is instead of choosing a random stadium, for all the players, it'll give the players an option of 4 different stadiums. And you can pick to participate in whichever one you want, and all the other players get to pick the ones they want. So let's say, you know, you build a glide vehicle, and one of the things is air glide, and 3 other people pick air glide, then you're gonna do air glide regardless. You know, no matter which one you pick is the one you're gonna do. When I first I thought it was like a voting thing. It's not a voting thing. There is an option to turn on a voting thing. If you want to, instead of doing a random one, you can turn on a voting one, and that will also work. So if that is something you want in this game, that is something you can do. And there is also the option where if you just want a completely random stadium, you can also do that as well. If you want the OG style, you can totally do that. And that's, I think, the important part, is it's not just about changing things, it's about giving the player options. And I think that's great. So what are some of the stadiums? There's Melee, which the Melee stadium is not you fighting other players, it's you fighting NPCs. You fight a bunch of, like, random enemies, you know, your Waddle-Doos, your Starmans, your Rikku-and-Kinds, and while fighting them, you get points. And whoever has the most points for defeating the most random enemies wins. There is also Dust Up Derby, though, so if you want to do one where you're battling other players, that is also an option. There's Air Glide to see who can make the best gliding vehicle. Drag Race to see who can make the best drag racing vehicle. Just, you know, go the quickest, the farthest. There is Single Race, so if you want to, you know, just do a single lap of a race, that's an option. There's Gourmet Race, where you race around the city, trying to collect as much food as possible. There's Target Flight, where you've got, like, a giant target board, and you gotta, like, dart yourself into it. And then there's Skydive, where you're diving from the top to the bottom, trying to go through different rings to score points. I think they're all good ones. He also said that there's a bunch of other ones he didn't talk about. So hopefully, you know, the amount of options is a good thing. At least how I'm thinking about it. There are, let's see, I talked about random stadiums. It also gives you, when you're doing random stadiums, it'll give you a recommendation. So, like, if you don't know, like, let's say you built, like, a mixed vehicle, and you just don't know which one to go with, the game will recommend one for you based on the stats you got. That's good. Especially helping new players. He did a whole city trial example. During this, we found out some other things during his example race. Specifically, so in the original game, when you were on a rail, you couldn't get off the rail. so like people could in theory camp the rail to like wait for you to fall off. In this game, that's not an issue. You can literally hold it and like the rail will turn red and you'll be able to jump off. That's cool. We see the upper, like I said, there's an upper sky island. We see the Smash Bros. Kill highlights. He says that while you're not in a vehicle, not on a machine, you can't grab power-ups. So you can't just like run around, you need a vehicle. If your machine gets to, like, let's say it's like the last like 10 seconds and a random player comes up to you and destroys your machine, it'll give you a compact star for the final battle. So like no matter what, you're at least gonna have a compact star. Like it's not just gonna, you know, instantly disqualify you. He talked about holding abilities. So like if, you know, while you're doing like a city trial or a race, like let's say you get like a cannon ability. While you have that cannon ability, you know, you can shoot your shots. But if you pick up like a fire wing, it'll put that cannon into storage, use the fire ability, and then once the fire ability runs out, it'll pull the cannon out of storage. Of course, you know, if things like work on a time limit, or you only have like so many shots, if it's too low, it won't be put into storage. But you know, if you still like have half the ability, you'll get to continue using it. It's a small change, but I think it's a nice change. That does not apply to copy abilities, only items, which I think is good. He talked about, right, other different versions of stadiums. The rant, you can have it set so that it'll be a random stadium. And in that random, right, like the original game, but in the original game, it gave you like these cryptic hints to kind of be like, oh, this stadium might require gliding. So that way you can try to, you know, structure your thing based on the hints. It'll do that as well. There's specifically a new item called the Prediction Codex, where if you pick up the Prediction Codex, it'll give you hints, but some of those hints can be fake. And it'll say like JK, you know, oh, that wasn't real. You know, it'll be like LOL. So you have to pay attention to those things. But that's kind of funny. It reminds me of like the fake Smash Ball. Let's see, what else? If you're in a group doing the stadiums, and like, let's say everybody wants to do glide. If there's more than 8 people, it'll actually split them up into 2 groups, just to make things easier. That's good. On the other hand, if nobody picks the stadium, it'll do no contest, and you'll instantly win. You know, it'll make you a total champion, and you just instantly win the race. But it still lets you play the game. You'll just race CPUs who use like the vehicles created by other players. I think that's a good compromise. That, you know, if nobody's gonna play the same race as you, you still get to play the game. You still get to show off your vehicle, and you win regardless. That is a good change. It's basically like a victory lap. There's tilt to vote. Like I said earlier, this is an option. And yeah, you just, you know, it shows you the 4 stadiums, and all the players vote on which one they want, and it just chooses one of them based on your votes. I don't know if it works more like Chicken Horse, or if it's just a majority wins thing. I'm not entirely sure, but I think it's a good idea either way. And yeah, that's City Trial. I think it looks fantastic. Everyone's kind of in agreement that, you know, the air riding stuff looks good, but the City Trial stuff looks amazing. And yeah, I'm so excited to play this again. It is so good. There's a new song. You know, Sakurai's been big into like using lyrics in his music recently. And so we have a new song called Starlit Journey, which has a voice track. And you can actually go listen to it right now. They put it up on Nintendo Music. So you can listen to that, and you can listen to a few songs. I have been listening to the new music. It is good. Does the new Starlight Journey song remind me a little bit of Reach for the Stars from Sonic Colors? Yes, but I still do like the track. It's very basic. Like, I don't think it's a lifelight. Like, it's not that good, but I think it's decent. And yeah, he said there's, you know, for everything he talked about, there's at least one thing he didn't. So we might get another Direct in the future. I'd be happy if we did. Because yeah, I think there's so much more here that he didn't get to. And then it ends off with a teaser for something. we see, you know, this dark wheelie, and then there's a rider on this dark wheelie, who I've seen a lot of people say this is dark matter. And I see it. It definitely, if you look at, like, images of dark matter, it definitely has, like, dark matter's hair. But the two weird things, so it's got a sans eye. It's got, like, this big blue eye. And then it's got, like, an engine sticking out of the other eye. So that's a little weird. But the other thing that makes me wonder what this is on its head, it's got, like, a King Dedede style crown. Because, you know, King Dedede turns evil in most Kirby games. This kind of looks like it could be, like, an evil, like, dark matter Dedede. Because it's got a Dedede crown. The only difference is Dedede's gem is normally a circle, like an oval, whereas this one has a, like a diamond. But either way, I think this is a good tease. Is this hinting at, like, a story mode or something? Are we gonna get World of Light 2? I think it is entirely possible. I think it is totally possible we get World of Light 2. And I'd be down for that. I think World of Light, I understand. It doesn't have the Subspace Emissary cutscenes that everybody loves. And so people don't like it as much. But I think gameplay-wise, World of Light is better than Subspace Emissary. I think it's more true to what Smash Bros. Is. I like the spirit stuff. I think it made for some interesting battles. I think World of Light is underrated. As someone who has 100% in World of Light, by the way. Like, I do genuinely like the mode, and if this is getting a story mode, I'm excited for that. Yeah. And then release date, November 11th. Which is interesting, because up till this point, I had been predicting this game was going to get delayed. Out of all the games Nintendo had revealed, I just had the feeling this one was going to be delayed. Mainly because this is the only one we don't have gameplay of. We had Age of Imprisonment gameplay. We have Metroid Prime gameplay. We didn't have gameplay of this. So now the question becomes, what is getting delayed? Metroid Prime or Age of Imprisonment? Because something's going to right now we have nothing in September. Sure, could September be Splatoon Raiders and that's a digital-only game? That is totally 100% possible. But I don't think September's going to give us Metroid, and we know Age of Imprisonment is winter. What is that? Because usually Nintendo puts out a game the first week of December. Is it going to be Metroid? Is it going to be Age of Imprisonment? If I had to bet, I'd say Metroid. I think, you know, releasing it the same day as the Game Awards, that kind of makes sense, maybe a week before. Sure, does that mean it's not going to get nominated for any Game Awards? Yes. Of course, they could also just release it in, like, November as well. We could get 2 Nintendo games in November. That would be very fucking weird if we did. But I wouldn't completely rule out of the cards. And I also do think Age of Imprisonment's not coming out this year. Right now, it's just got a winter release date. Winter can mean January or February. I could genuinely see this being a January or February game. But hey, I'm excited to play Kirby. A November 11th release date is super exciting. I totally think it's possible. And yeah, Metroid Prime could come out like November 29th. Or, you know, sometime like that. Maybe the week, maybe like 22nd. I don't know. I think that's less likely, but also within the realm of possibility. I've seen a lot of people talking about the price point. The price is $70. It is set at the new standard. It's not a, you know, a new deluxe Nintendo game. It's not $80, but it is $70. I know for some people that's too much. That, you know, that while they're interested, they don't think it's worth $70. I've seen people, again, the Nintendo hate train is still strong. That hasn't fucking changed. Personally, it's worth it for me. At $70, yeah, no, this game is totally worth it. But I understand that it's not going to be for everybody. But, man, I'm so fucking tired of the Nintendo hate train. It's not that... Listen, there's nothing wrong with hating Nintendo. What sucks about the Nintendo hate train is that it's the same fucking arguments fueled by the same information. Like, there's plenty to be mad about Nintendo for. They've done some stupid fucked up shit over the years. But most of the things people are getting mad about are not the things they should be mad about. Or they're mad at them for some... Like, there are still people who claim Switch games cost $90. The console has been out since, what, June? And there are still people who think $90 Switch games are real. Because we live in a fucking stupid world. I mean, look at the president. It's the perfect president for stupid world. Like, come on. Oh, you know what I didn't put on the schedule? South Park. God, if we have time. Because, like I said, we're only doing up to Galaxy World 2 here. Once we beat this world, we're done. We might do some... I might boot up Pokemon. But, yeah, I only plan to play to World 2. Okay, we're technically fine. This is one of the Galaxy 2's most famous levels, in my opinion. I kind of hate it, even though I'm not doing bad. I remember struggling a lot with this level as a kid. So yeah, that's Kirby Air Riders. My voice is shot to shit, man. My throat fucking hurts. And while, yes, I am out of water, I don't know if getting more water will fix that. My throat fucking hurts. But let's continue on with Gamescom. So, Gamescom opening night live was also Tuesday. Middle of the day, I was at work. I said going into it, I was not going to be streaming Gamescom. I have never streamed Gamescom. It's just one of those events I have no interest in. I did look it up as well. I will not be streaming the Game Awards this year. I know I had kind of hinted that I was maybe going to do the Game Awards and do, you know, can I beat Donkey Kong before it wins Game of the Year? I found out, no, I'm not. I found out this week that no, I will not be streaming the Game Awards. That, you know, my normal December commitment. Last year, it was the week after the Game Awards. This week, it is the same week as the Game Awards. Normally, the Game Awards are the first week of December. This week, they're the second week. And my December commitment is also the second week. Because normally, that's also the first week. Last year, you know, they were out of line. This year, they're not. So no, I will not be watching the Game Awards this year. I already know that for a fact. It's no big sweat off my back, if I'm being completely honest. I'm not too beat up about not watching the Game Awards. They're the fucking Game Awards. I mean, sure, was last year's show pretty decent? Yeah, it was okay, but I'm not beat up over it. So what was at Gamescom opening night live? Like I said, I didn't really watch it. I specifically can tell you, I started it up when they showed Batman. Not that I was like, oh, I heard they were doing a Batman thing, I guess I'll boot up the stream. No, I just happened to hit my, like, lunch break then. And was like, okay, I'll see what's going on at Gamescom. And they were doing Batman. I think it was like 20 minutes into the show at this point. Not counting, like, the hour-long pre-show. So I watched that. I think I watched up until, like, Fallout. And that was when my lunch break ended, and I didn't watch anything past that. So I definitely saw a few things. So it started off Bubsy 4D. We're getting another Bubsy game. Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't the last Bubsy game hot garbage? Because they tried to bring back Bubsy a few years ago. And if I remember correctly, nobody liked that. So I don't know why they're bringing Bubsy back again. But God, you know, don't let your memes be dreams or whatever. We got new footage of Keeper. This is the game made by Double Fine over at Xbox. This is the one where you're like the lighthouse on legs. It's weird, but it's a Double Fine game. I trust Double Fine. So yeah, I'm totally down for this. We got a new game called Routine. This is a horror game, but it's inspired by, what's that photo game? Not Photophobia. Not Phasmophobia. It's like Photo something, Maiden of Blackwater. There's a horror game series I think it's a Nintendo IP. Like, I'm pretty sure Nintendo owns it. I want to say they got a Switch re-release a few years ago. What's it called? Maiden... Black... Fatal Frame. That's the name of it. Yeah, Fatal Frame... There's a part of me that was like, wait, is it not a Nintendo exclusive? Because I could totally see it being like a beta neta thing where it's like a second-party game. But yeah, Fatal Frame Maiden of Blackwater. I know it was a Wii U game that later got released on Switch. Also might have been called Project Zero, depending on your region. I don't know, but basically Routine is a Fatal Frame style game where you're going around a spooky location and you've got a camera. That's cool. Okay. You know, I know people like the Fatal Frame series, even if, you know, they don't sell, like, at all. They revealed Pac-Man is coming to Sonic Cross Worlds. Makes perfect sense, you know. He betrayed Nintendo, and now he's going over to Sonic, and I'm sure he'll be back at some point. You know, they're gonna make a Pac-Man, they're gonna make a Mario Kart Arcade GP3. I'm sure he'll come back. That doesn't surprise me. This is when Jeff Keighley came out and was like, hey, for all the people excited for Silksong, I'm going to confirm right now, Silksong is this year. And even though it had already been announced by this point, he like double confirmed like, hey, on Thursday they're doing a special Silksong presentation that you should all tune in for. I think that, yeah, this is when he said that. They showed a new trailer for Call of Duty Black Ops 7. Its campaign is co-op. This is the first Call of Duty co-op campaign in a few years. I couldn't tell you when the last one was, but it's been a few years. And then it got a release date of November 14th. Guess what? I'll be playing Kirby Air Raiders. I don't give a shit. We got Lords of the Fallen 2. This had also kind of been leaked. I think this was leaked earlier that morning. But we all kind of knew it was coming. You know, it had been a while. It just kind of made sense that, you know, this was going to happen eventually. Sekiro is coming back, but as an anime. So, hey, if you like Sekiro, you're getting a Sekiro anime. Sure, it's not a new game, but it's neat, I guess. And then this is where I started watching. They revealed Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. So this is a Lego Batman game that is inspired by the Arkham games. You know, if fucking... What's the dev? Arkham City... Why am I forgetting the dev's name? Rocksteady? Yeah, Rocksteady. If Rocksteady doesn't want to make a new Arkham game, and instead keep getting forced to make these stupid fucking Suicide live service games that nobody wants, hey, it looks like other people are going to do it for them. And so Traveler's Tales is making a Lego Batman game. It's an open world game. It does do some of the movies. They're specifically doing the Nolan trilogy and the Matt Reeves movie. So if you've ever wanted to, you know, do the Christopher Nolan movies in Lego. Because from what I remember, the Lego Batman games didn't adapt any of the movies. To be fair, I only played the first one. And I think I watched like a Let's Play of the second one. I don't know anything about the third one. Neither do I know the Villains one. I didn't hear that one was that good. I don't care that Greg Miller is Polka Dot Man. That's not going to make me play Lego Batman Supervillains. But, you know, regardless, I think this idea for this Legacy of the Dark Knight is a good one. You know, Arkham-inspired. You literally see Arkham-inspired combat. It does the whole radar thing. It does, you know, you see the plastic explosives like in the game. You know what? Fuck it. I'd love a new Arkham game. I'm sure some Arkham purists are like, no, this sucks. Why is this a stupid Lego game? When I think that's the best way to go about this. Man, well, yes, of course, I would like a new Rocksteady Arkham game. I'd rather see them do Superman, which, God, after everything that happened with Suicide Squad, I'm worried they're gonna fuck it up. But it'd be cool. It'd be cool. But hey, this looks great. I'm very excited for this. It's coming to all the platforms, you know, Switch 2, Xbox, PlayStation, sometime next year. Do I have my concerns? Of course I have my concerns. because the classic Lego games that you and I probably love are very different than modern Lego games. You know, Lego games went in a different direction, and it's not everyone's cup of tea. And I get it, to be fair. I get it. I get both sides of the argument. But I think this could be great. Next up, Monster Hunter Wilds and Final Fantasy are getting a crossover. But it's kind of like the Dread Dave the Diver crossover, where both games are getting updates. So it's not just like, oh, Monster Hunter Worlds is getting chocobos. No, both games are going to be getting new DLC for each other. That's good. I like when that happens. I know Squeenix is very exclusive on its IPs. I've seen some people disappointed this wasn't like Final Fantasy VII or Final Fantasy 16. I think it's fine. We got some new stuff for Onimusha. Still looks good. Still have never played an Onimusha game, so I don't really have strict thoughts. This is where we got the new Fallout trailer. Man, if you have not seen the Fallout show on Amazon, it is totally worth it. It is maybe the best thing to come out of the Fallout universe. It is, as someone who loves the games, I think it is fantastic. You know, I know there are some concerns with this new season, that it's just going to be like, oh, hey, remember this thing from New Vegas? Remember this? I remember. I could see that concern, but after the first season being so good, I'm giving them a little benefit of the doubt. Because that first season was really good. But, you know, we get to see New Vegas. They're going into, like, how the bombs dropped and what a vital role Robert Edwin House, I think that's his full name, how he played in the droppings of the bomb. Because we already found out in the first season that Voltech dropped the bombs. And that's such a big reveal. Like, holy shit. Again, it's the best thing in the Fallout universe. And that's the fact that we're seeing the world before the bombs drop is so important. And I'm not just talking like a little 10-minute gameplay segment. We see Caesar's Legion. We see the Predwin crashing in the desert. We see, I have Nova written? Nova. Oh, fucking spell autocorrect. Novak. We see the dinosaur at Novak. So, you know, there's going to be a lot of things. I don't know what the timeline's going to be, you know, because Fallout New Vegas has multiple endings, and literally any and all of the endings could be canon. Who knows what the fuck they're going to do, especially because I know one of people's problems with the show is that they kind of change things with, like, the New California Republic, where it kind of doesn't exist anymore. It's a little bit, like, at least their capital got destroyed. That's the thing. Either way, I'm so down. We already knew that it was coming out in December, and you better believe I'm here for it. We got Indiana Jones DLC, you know, some more of that. We already knew it was coming out on the 14th. But they also confirmed that, hey, guess what? It's coming to Switch. So, or Switch 2 next year. So, hey, if you have a Switch and you don't have an Xbox, which, I mean, who the fuck has an Xbox? That's an option to play it. You know, they'll make some compromises, but actually, Xbox ports on Switch aren't that bad. Like, there's been all this talk about the Elden Ring port on Switch 2, and how it's just a bad port, seemingly. Like, it's not that the system can't run Elden Ring. It just seems that From Software kind of did a shit job with the port. And yeah, no, I have a little bit more faith in Xbox because they've pulled it off in the past. But another thing, so on top of that, coming to Switch 2, Nate the Hate came out and was like, hey guys, I also have heard that Starfield is coming to Switch 2. Which I also think is totally possible. Now, admittedly, I think it would make more sense to get, like, Fallout 4, and there's been a lot of rumors of a Fallout 3 remake coming later this year. I think both those things would make more sense than, you know, Starfield, but I'm one of the people who liked Starfield, so that's okay, I guess. We got more Deadpool VR. it still looks like whatever. Like, it looks okay. I don't know, Neil Patrick Harris is Deadpool. Fine. Next up, we have Zero Paradise. Paradise? So, this is the new game from ZAUM. That is not a Pokemon, those are not Pokemon games. ZAUM is the developer behind Disco Elysium. Now, in theory, that should be exciting. The idea of, a new Disco Elysium thing should be a big deal. But if you have not been keeping up with the news, basically, the developers who worked on Disco Elysium, like the actual people behind the company, got into this massive fight with, I think, legal allegations still ongoing over the original Disco Elysium. Basically, all the people who made Disco Elysium, at least all the, the major ones, the directors, the writers, whatnot, they were all fired. They're not the people working on this game. It's completely different people. And the people who did Disco Elysium are now off doing their own thing. Admittedly, I don't know all the details. You'd have to, there are people, Laura K. Dale, who know a lot more than I do. But I know, basically, if you see this game made by ZAUM, and are like, oh yeah, Disco Elysium 2, here we go. This is not Disco Elysium 2. Do not get your hopes up for that. Lower your fucking expectations. Maybe even throw them out the window. Because I have literally less than 0 expectations for this. After that, we got Expedition 33 had a live performance. I did listen to this. It was neat. It's a very neat performance. If you're a fan, I definitely recommend you go check it out. Can't wait to hear the orchestral thing during the Game Awards. That's going to be fantastic. We got some Ninja Gaiden 4 gameplay. It's Ninja Gaiden 4. Not really my style, but I know people are excited. We got Silent Hill F. We got some more details on that. I didn't write down the release date, but I know it's coming soon-ish. That's cool. We got more Chronos The New Dawn. This game comes out in 2 or 3 weeks. I think it's the 14th as well. I don't think it's the same day as Silksong, even though that would be very funny if it was. I don't know, a lot of people are... This is our 3rd or 4th time to make a Dead Space revitalization, and the last 3 times didn't exactly work out, so I'm not exactly excited for this, cause, yeah, no, Dead Space was lightning in a bottle that has just never been recaptured. As much as people try, it comes out the day after Silksong. This game's fucked. This game is absolutely fucked. It comes out September 5th. Next up, they showed off Outer Worlds 2. They brought back fucking Dewey / Sonic the Hedgehog. He can't speak German to save his life. But the new trailer was all about companions. This was the companion trailer. They confirmed that, no, this ain't Baldur's Gate 3. You cannot fuck the companions. So I'm sure some people will be disappointed by that. But, people like companions. Admittedly, I'm not a big companion guy. Just kind of never even in Fallout. I'm not a big... I'm happy with my Nick Valentines. Or my, fucking... Oh god, what's the sniper? The dinosaur sniper with the tragic backstory. Also Veronica. Veronica's the Brotherhood of Steel one in New Vegas, right? I think that's Veronica. I don't know. There's someone I'm thinking of that I just can't think of. God, my first thought is Bob, but I know that's not right. Either way, companions. Oh, people are excited, but I'm sure the no sex thing is a little disappointing for some. We got Cult of the Lamb. It's getting a new DLC, a new paid DLC called Woolhaven. New gods, winter areas. I still haven't played I still haven't played Cult of the Lamb. It's a game I own. I think I even bought one of the other paid DLCs. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I will one day. We got Ghost of Yotei, which comes out in October. They announced a DLC for that called Ghost of Yotei Legends. Now, before people freak out, oh, they're announcing DLC for a game that hasn't even announced, it's free DLC. It's just going to be an update that comes post-launch, kind of like the original Ghost of Tsushima, which also had a Legends DLC that came out shortly after launch. So hey, that's cool. And then we got Resident Evil Requiem, we got some gameplay, very, classic, behind-the-shoulder Resident Evil style. I'm sure people are excited. Again, outside of 4, I'm not a big Resident Evil fan, and I still haven't played the 4 remake. And then finally, they ended off, the developers of Black Myth Wukong. We were expecting them to come out and reveal Black Myth Wukong DLC. But instead, they announced a new game. Black Myth Zhongku? Z-H-O-N-G-K-U-I. Zhongku, yeah, Zhongku. So, something like that. I can't remember how it's pronounced. Either way, new Black Myth game. Leaning into, a different part of Chinese mythology. People are excited. Because, yeah, I know people loved the original. It's kind of wild that they're going, they're already announcing their next thing. But, cool for them. Cool for them. I'm sure people are excited. And yeah, there's a few other things I'm sure I'm forgetting in here. There was like a roguelite game. I think it was called Death Scrolling. That was a vertical scroller, but it was a roguelite. Okay, that sounds interesting. But yeah, I'll be honest, there's not much in this that appeals to me. Like, there are definitely a few things. Like, the Batman thing is huge. But outside of that, I think it's, from what I saw of it, it was a fine showcase. I've definitely heard about worse Gamescoms. This one seemed okay. I guess there's maybe a little bit for everyone, which is, I think, the best that you can ask for from a Gamescom. Because Gamescoms usually ain't that good. So yeah, that's that. Alright, so that was Gamescom opening night. Since then, there have been so many other Gamescom announcements. So let's get to some of those. So the first one is the Xbox ROG Ally. The new Xbox handheld, the alleged Switch killer. Fucking, what a joke. What a fucking joke that is. Man, Xbox people are so funny. It got a release date. It's coming out October 16th. So hey, it'll be out, you'll be able to play Silksong on the ROG Ally. Okay. But yeah, it's coming out October 16th. Their Xbox is going to launch a handheld compatibility program, which from what I understand is basically, deck verified on Steam. It's the same idea, but for Xbox. That's good. On top of the release, they're planning on future updates. They're going to add advanced shader delivery. They're going to, of course, update compatibility with future games. They're going to add more for accessories. So you're going to be able to use more accessories on the thing. Even though, I really hope they get the, what's it called? The Xbox accessibility controller. Because while it'd be the idea of using an accessibility controller on a ROG Ally may seem weird, I still think they should do it. I think that's an important thing to do. So I hope that's what they're talking about. And then they talked about, they're going to make enhancements to the docking experience. Because I think you can hook this thing up to a TV, ? I don't know. So with all that, so we have the release date. What about the price? And Xbox doesn't have a price. So we have the rumored price at the moment is $550 for the base model, just the normal Xbox ROG Ally. And then for the X edition, the better version, it's $900. Yeah, no, the Switch, yeah, totally, Switch killer, $900. Yep, 100% agree with you there. So that's the rumored price. But Xbox has so far said nothing. Specifically, they've highlighted that they're not going to give a release date or a release price because of changes in the market. So these prices will potentially go up because of tariffs. that because Donald Trump is butt-fucking the economy in between lubing up Satan's asshole, you know, shoving the Tim Apple statue up his butt. Yeah, no, the economy might be fucked, so these might go up in price. This could potentially be $600 and $1,000. That's not out of the realm of possibility. But we'll just kind of have to wait and see, because, yeah, they're still working on it due to market conditions. You know who's not working on price increases anymore, because they finally announced them? PlayStation. PlayStation finally... We knew back in May, when Xbox increased their prices, I said it's only a matter of time until it happens to PlayStation. It's gonna happen. It was inevitable. I'm amazed it happened to the Switch before it happened to PlayStation. But Donald Trump has fucked up the economy so much that, yeah, it was inevitable PlayStation was going to increase their prices. It was just a matter of time. And that time has finally come. Of course, people are blaming Nintendo for this. Nintendo's $450 console is so expensive that Xbox raised their console to $600 and PlayStation raised their console to $500. It's all Nintendo's fault somehow. People are fucking stupid. Again, a non-proportion, a theoretical majority of this country voted for Donald Trump. A majority of this country is fucking stupid. What else is new? Why did I go back to do this level? This was a mistake. So what are the new PlayStation prices? So the base PS5, just the default model with a disc drive, is going to be $550. So that's a $50 increase. The PS5 digital edition without the disc drive is just a base $500. So that's also a $50 increase. And then the PS5 Pro is $750. That's a $50 increase. So unlike Nintendo, where they kind of scaled it per console, PlayStation has just done a flat $50 increase for all their things. Now, the one difference between PlayStation, Nintendo, and Xbox is that for PlayStation, they are not increasing the prices of any of their accessories. So, like, let's say you buy a digital PlayStation and then you buy a separate disc drive, that will not go up in price. If you want to buy another controller, also not going up in price. So if you were worried about any of those things, accessories, that hasn't changed. It's just the base console, and I'll be honest, it kind of sucks. It sucks that this change happened, but it sucked when it happened to Xbox, it sucked when it happened to Nintendo, it sucks that Donald Trump is destroying the economy. And God, there was Sam Altman came out this week and was like, oh yeah, the AI bubble is about to burst. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, that's not the end of the economy. But these stupid fucking tech companies have put so much money into AI that if the AI bubble does burst, that could completely destroy that could be our recession. Legitimately. Because of how much money these companies have wasted on AI. That could be our recession. I don't know. We'll just kind of have to wait and see. Oh my god, my throat hurts so much. After we finish World 2 here, I'm gonna go get some water. I'm gonna go get some water. I'm probably also gonna boot up Pokémon. I don't think we'll do the new shiny hunts. We'll look at the map, see whatever else is there. But yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do the new, because the new shiny hut opened like yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Maybe it was the past few days. We'll do that next week. So yeah. But yeah, no, this sucks for PlayStation, but it was inevitable. The president's fucked up the economy so much that we knew this was gonna happen. I'm just surprised it took this long. Next up, the big thing, Hollow Knight Silksong. So, on, Tuesday morning, same day as that Nintendo Direct, same day as Gamescom, early that morning, the Team Cherry put out a tweet saying that, hey, in 48 hours, we're going to be doing a special Silksong presentation. Stay tuned. They didn't say what it was going to be, they didn't say it was going to be a release date or anything, just a special presentation. And there was a lot of talk leading into it, like, oh, is this going to be the release date? Is the release date going to be, what's it going to be? The most common one I saw was November. I saw a lot of people predicting November. So in the presentation, which was only like 2 or 3 minutes, we get a new trailer for Silksong. They talk about, 200 new enemies to the game. Or just 200 enemies in the game. 40 bosses, bunch of other things. So there's a lot here. And then it ends with September 4th as the release date. Less than 2 weeks away. Holy shit. We knew it was going to be soon-ish, we knew it was going to be before October 16th. Xbox had already said that. But to get it on September 4th, 2 weeks away, is crazy. So along with this announcement of the release date, which is fantastic. Like I said, it's completely fucking over Chronos The New Dawn. Because who the fuck's gonna play that when they can play Silksong? And Silksong's gonna be like $20-$30 at most. Whereas Chronos is probably a full $60 game. That game's fucked. I've seen stories in the past like 24 hours. Multiple game developers have delayed their games because of Silksong. Literally, they put up a new update for Peak today, and in the patch notes, it said, there's like a message board in the game, and it says, hey, have fun enjoying Peak these next 2 weeks, because we all know you're going to be moving over to Silksong. Like, come on, it is inevitable. This is the biggest indie game launch ever. But so leading up to Silksong, a lot of people, myself included, were like, oh, this game's in development hell. Something went wrong. Something's got to happen. Something, feature creep, delays, project restarts. Something must have happened. So, Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg put out an article this week that was simply why Silksong took 7 years to make. I highly recommend you go read this article. When this is up on YouTube, I will link it in the description. But I read through it, and I'm going to give you the highlights. Basically, the developers say there were no issues. There was no feature creep. There was no development hell. They didn't restart the game. They're just a small team. Literally, it is a team of 3 people. They, like most games when they do sequels and whatnot, they usually hire more staff. They didn't do that. The team didn't get any bigger. There's a few contractors and whatnot. But no, it's only like it's only a 3-person team. And including like contractors, musical artists and whatnot, at its maximum, it's like 15 people. It's a very small studio. And they didn't want to increase that. Specifically, they say that the developers, right, they wanted to remain a small team because they didn't want to worry about managing others. That some of the developers have like history in middle management, and that's not something they ever want to do again. And I'll be honest, I don't blame them. I totally understand that. But yeah, basically, the story behind Silksong, listening to Jason Schreier explain it, as he talked with the devs, it reminds me of Mario Wonder. If you've heard the story, Mario Wonder, Nintendo started working on it and told the development team, take as much time as you need. We have no expected release date. We don't need you to get this game out by a specific time. Take as much time as you need. And because of that, Mario Wonder had some great animation and was filled with so many ideas and creativity. Silksong kind of feels like the same way. Because the first game has sold, I want to say he says over 15 million units, they had money. Because that's the biggest problem with indie games. Is, when you're making a big indie game, when you're specifically starting to make the game, you just don't have enough money. Right? You're living in your car. You're barely making ends meet, eating a lot of like bologna sandwiches. I specifically think of like Yacht Club games. Right? All the struggles they went through making Shovel Knight. Even though, they had Kickstarter money, I also think of the developers of No Man's Sky. They also kind of went through the same thing. It's every indie game story. But with Silksong, they had a lot more time. They had a lot more money. They didn't have to worry about that. They took their sweet-ass time. They didn't start living the bougie lifestyle. You know, one of them has a wife, 2 kids, and a third one on the way. The other one lives in like a 2-room apartment. And he even like jokes that like, hey, a 1-room apartment would be better. So yeah, just them taking their time, doing what they do. Basically, any idea they had time to experiment with it in the game. And it wasn't until this year that they were finally like, okay, we see the ending. We're gonna start, you know, wrapping things up for a fall release. But yeah, they had the time, they had the money to do what they wanted, and they seemed to make a project they loved. Let's see, they never got burnt out. That's another good thing to hear. Because, like, I think of, you know, recently we got the update from Aggro Crab, where they talked about how the studio was kind of burnt out. You know, after going from Big Projects 1 to Big Project 2 to Big Project 3, they were kind of burnt out. And that's where Peak came from, is them trying to, you know, reinvigorate their spark. Yeah, no, it sounds like that never happened to the Team Cherry devs. They weren't overworked, you know, they didn't have to, you know, do these long, grueling hours. They could take their sweet-ass time. They have their freedom. Alright, it's kind of reminds me of Mojang in some ways. I know people hate Mojang for a plethora of reasons, but this is kind of what they're going for. Yeah, the developers almost exclusively stayed off social media. Like, the only things they ever heard about the whole Silksong Tomorrow thing came from friends and family, who would, like, show them, like, the funniest memes. Other than that, they didn't know any of the drama. And, right, and then, now that they finished the game, it's coming out in 2 weeks, they also have plans for DLC. So, you know, they're not done with the game yet. They still have more they want to do. Which, Hollow Knight's DLC was fantastic, so this sounds great. There is a part of me that, okay, I do, even though they stay off of social media and everything, I do kind of hope they learn the mistake of not announcing a game too early. Like, I get it. I don't think they expect, because originally, kind of like Tears of the Kingdom, this game started off as DLC, before it eventually bloomed into something bigger. I hope they learn, like, hey, on our next projects, you know, let's wait a little while. Maybe, you know, when they say, like, hey, it was early this year that they realized they were going to hit a fall release, maybe kind of wait until that time to announce your game. Because I'll stand by it. With, you know, a few exceptions like Tears of the Kingdom and Metroid Prime 4. I think Nintendo has found great success in not announcing their game until, like, 6 months until release. Like, Donkey Kong Bonanza, we found out about in release within a 3-month period. Maybe it might be 4 months, but I think it's 3. That's, yeah, let's say 3. That's the shit you want to do. I'm saying, like, you can give it like a year, but after everything that's happened with Silksong, and I mean, you don't have to market this game. You do not have to pay any money to market this game. This is maybe one of the most marketed games in history, and they didn't spend a dime on it. So yeah, I'm very excited. I'm not streaming Silksong. I didn't stream Hollow Knight. I'm gonna play it on my own, and I'm gonna have a great time. But I'm also gonna replay Hollow Knight before that happens. Just FYI, I'm gonna play Hollow Knight on my own. Probably. I don't know. I re-downloaded it on this. I downloaded it on the Switch 2 today. So my hope is that tomorrow I'm gonna start playing Hollow Knight. But okay, so our last news story, before, you know, we go into WIBE and all that, and Pokemon, and I go get water and whatnot, probably go to the bathroom, is Pokemon. So we got a Pokemon update. They released a new Resident Evil style trailer to show off the new Pokemon, Mega Victreebel. Mega Victreebel is, you remember that South Park episode where Randy's, you know, using his balls as like a space hopper? It's that. It's, hey, Mega Victreebel, it's producing so much poison that its, like, sac has engorged, and to keep it all inside, it's, like, choking itself, and when it unchokes itself, it, like, spews out all this, like, poison that can melt through steel. I know it's a goofy design with like a little upside down smiley face. It's dumb, but I think it's very charming. I like this Mega Victreebel. I like my one problem with Dragonite was that I wish it was blue. Other than that, I think it's a decent Mega. This one, I don't have any notes. I think it having this huge sack, the little arms, the slightly bigger head leaf, I think it all works really well. I think it is a charming design. Is it like an amazing Mega? Is it like really cool or anything? No, but I think it works well. I kind of like it. Am I going to use it? Probably not. I don't know what Pokemon I'm using. Outside of Chikorita as my starter, I haven't planned out a Legend ZA team. I know basically all the Mega Evolutions have been leaked at this point. I still don't really care. If I'm being completely honest, I just kind of don't care. But, you know, we'll see. We shall see. But either way, I like it. I think Mega Victreebel is cute. It's cute. You know what else it reminds me of? It's like you know, and is it Tina? Maybe it's Susie. If you've ever seen The Amazing World of Gumball, there's an upside down head. Imagine that, but cute. Like, imagine if you made that design cute somehow. That's kind of what it reminds me of. Which I know is very weird, but trust me. Trust me, it makes sense in my head. But yeah, there we are, World 3. So yeah, this is where we're gonna stop Galaxy tonight, because I only kind of want to do 2 worlds at a time. I don't want to do too much. Plus, this whole Wiimote thing's kind of exhausting. What you got, Toad? Honeybee. You know what I hate about this game? That I'm pretty sure when we turn it off, all those 1-ups disappear. We're currently at 28. I think those all go away. Which that kind of sucks. But it's not like there's anything else we can do. Alright, let me see. Okay, let me hit that, hit that. Alright, give me a minute. I'm gonna go get some water, and I'll be right back. Oh, I didn't have my mind. Fuck. So I looked around at, so while I was being right back, I booted up the game, looked at some of the different raids, I saw a Mousehold raid, and was like, hey, let's do that. So we're gonna do Mousehold. We'll go through all of them. Should be all fine and dandy. Hopefully, okay, so Shiny Mousehold, the big difference is that instead of having blue pants and blue shirts, it's yellow pants and yellow shirt. And it's a very small difference, but hopefully it'll be enough that we'll be able to see it. Glob, I hope so. But I guess this is where we find out. I don't know how much longer we're gonna go. If we find nothing, it's no big deal. I'm not really worried. So yeah. So that's the plan. So I guess let's WIBE, shall we? So what have I been doing? I did actually play some video game. Specifically one, the game Peak. Oh, hey, how's it going, Anti-Anonymous? Longest I've ever... Oh, this doesn't even go close. Man, my record's like 9 hours. No, my record's like 16 hours. Yeah, God. The Pikmin stream, man. The Pikmin stream took so much out of me. My voice, though, does hurt. I don't know if it comes through the audio, but God, my voice is killing me right now. It's been a very busy week for me. But yeah. So the only game I've been playing is Peak. I was there for the Pikmin stream. You're a Survivor. Yeah. I need to watch Survivor. Man, everything I hear about... So Survivor as like a reality show shouldn't appeal to me at all. I don't really like reality shows. But I know a lot of people who like opinions I like respect and trust who love Survivor. And say that I will love Survivor if I watch it. I really should watch Survivor. I've been told to just, hey, start watching the current season. You're probably good. But there's a part of me that, we're 50 seasons in. So, like, there's a part of me that wants to go back to the OG and start from there. But, I don't know. It's something I say, like, every year. Like, this is the year I'm going to watch Survivor. But I've been saying that for, like, 5 years now. Same thing with Dark Souls. I always say, this is the year I'm going to play Dark Souls. And no, I haven't. Same thing with One Piece. There's another thing. One Piece is way more daunting than either of those other two things. But still. Actually, I wonder how long would it take to watch every episode of Survivor? How long... Watch... every... Alright, I'm gonna look up One Piece first, because it's in the auto replies. Take 15 days, roughly 400 hours. Okay, so 15 days. Now let's see about Survivor. It would take 17 days to watch all of... Holy shit, that's... Because, I mean, they're like hour-long plus episodes, over 50 seasons... yeah, holy shit. Okay. Yeah, the approximate episode, is 42 minutes, but there are 2-hour episodes in there. Holy shit, it takes longer to watch Survivor than One Piece? I don't know, if I do Survivor, I'd have to make like a project out of it. It'd have to be like after every episode, I get like a minute to talk about it. And then that's it. I don't know. I'd have to... Same thing with One Piece. Like, if I ever watch One Piece, I'm gonna have to make a project out of it. Like, what can I do first? Watch all of One Piece or 100% Cookie Clicker? Which are both things that take redonkulous amounts of time. It'd be the Cookie Clicker, by the way. I know enough about Cookie Clicker that I could probably do it in 100 hours. Whereas One Piece is, what, 500? Okay, I'm getting off topic here. I'm going on wild side tangents. We have two food things. I tried KFC, which, yep, I've got a story. It's fucking KFC. Of course there's a story. And then I had Chick-Fil-A. I'm not a Chick-fil-A guy. I don't go there. I think they're they're the inventors of the chicken sandwich. But just because you invented it doesn't mean you have the best one. It's my same thing with, like, New York pizza. Like, just because New York invented pizza. And no, I will not hear any, like, arguments on that. For all intents and purposes, what we consider American pizza was invented in New York and not Italy. I know Italy had pizza-like dishes that dated all the way back to, like, the founding of Rome. Doesn't matter. You know, America invented pizza. I will not hear otherwise. And God, don't even get me started on the hamburger and Hamburg, Germany. Like, fuck, man. Europeans, man, they're so fucking entitled. Oh, no, we're not entitled. But you and your Americans in your school shootings. Fucking Europeans, man. They fucking suck. And the fact that I'm calling them Europeans pissed them off even more. And I'm glad. I'm glad. Now, I may not have pride in America, but when talking to a European, oh yeah. Okay, so we got those two things. We're gonna talk about Peak. We're gonna, you know, talk about my speedrunning. We got South Park and maybe other shit. And of course, Marble League. We're getting up there. I think we're at like event 16. We're getting close. We're getting close either way. So we've definitely got that. And then yeah. We're at event 13 for some reason. I thought we were at like 6. Maybe it's that they've announced up to 16. Yeah. Yeah, next week, the 27th is the final event. I don't know why did I think we were at 16? That's the final event. I don't know why I thought that. So next week we will watch the final 3 events of the Marble League, or the yeah, that's right. Because the next one comes out tomorrow, then do the next 2 come out tomorrow? One's on the 23rd, one's on the 25th, one's on the 22nd. Okay. That all makes... So yeah, next week we will see the end of this year's Marble League. It's exciting either way. Alright, let's get into things. I guess let's start with KFC. So... the big thing with KFC was that they brought back their wedge fries. Okay? They were like, hey, you know, people used to love KFC's wedge fries. And they brought them back, and, you know, people were excited. As long as they didn't change the recipe, you know, people were excited to have them back. Now, I want to be fair and say, I don't actually like wedge fries. Like, I know, like, Wendy's has wedge fries. Jack in the Box has wedge fries. Any other place I've gotten wedge fries, I don't really care for them. I like a thin, crispy fry. Like, my favorite fry is like a McDonald's or I really like a ribbon fry as well. I also do like a curly fry. I think a thinner fry is better. But you know, people like thicker fries. I don't like steak fries. I think steak fries have too much potato. Which I know sounds weird, but to be fair, I'm not a huge potato guy. I know this country loves potatoes, but I'm not a huge potato guy. I'm just gonna say it. So yeah, when it came to these wedge fries coming back, I was like, it's not really a big deal. Whatever, I'll get them to try them. But I'm not like over the moon. It's fucking KFC. And then the other thing they brought back were their spicy wings. You know, they have wings. They're spicy now, which I guess they've had before, but they're bringing them back now. And I was like, okay, I'll try both those things. I'm not really a spice guy, but I was like, you know what, I'll try it, sure. I can get like a combo meal that comes with both. And I can get that peach Mountain Dew, which, again, I think grows on me a little more and more every time I try it. So that's what I did. That's what I ordered. I ordered like a few other things. Like I got just like a generic chicken sandwich. They have like these apple pie poppers that I like. So yeah, I got a few things. I get to the restaurant. They're missing like half the order. They have the hot and spicy wings. They don't have the pie poppers. They don't have the wedge fries. Maybe, I think they had the chicken sandwich. But they were missing like half the order. So I was kind of annoyed. Because like KFC has done this to me before. I think I've even talked about on this podcast how KFC was kind of dead to me. Because they just they haven't like not fucked up in like a year. Because I agree with Queso on this one. As fat guy to fat guy. I agree with Queso that KFC is only good 1 in every like 10 tries. But if you get that 1 in 10, it's really good. But those other 9 times kind of suck. And with every time I go to KFC, them fucking up my order, the last time I went, they really fucked things up. So I was kind of like done with them. This was like their last straw. You know, and so I get there and I'm like, hey, you fucked up. Here's everything that's missing from my order. And they're like, okay, sir, we got it. They come back to me with the pie popper things. And they're like, okay, you're good to go. And I'm like, no, what about the fries? The manager comes out and he's like, oh, our deep fryers are being cleaned right now. Your fucking Kentucky Fried Chicken. What do you mean your fryers are being cleaned and, you know, are having issues? What the fuck? What did you cook this chicken in? Like, I get it, they use different things. The things they use for their fries aren't the things they use for their other things. Either way, I was like, what the fuck? Okay, whatever. You know, they get in an argument. You know, I'm not gonna fight with the manager here. They closed in like half an hour anyways. Like, I was the only person there. They were clearly, like, ready to start packing things up, you know. But either way, it was like, okay, bullshit, whatever. And so, like, they couldn't give me the wedges, even though I'm looking at a fucking poster. Because the first guy, before I talked to the manager, the guy there was like, oh, we don't have the wedges. I'm looking at a fucking poster that says, yes, the wedges are back, or wedges have returned. And I'm like, what the fuck do you mean you don't have wedges? I can see it right there. And that's when the manager got called out. So, you know, he's like, oh, we can't get you anything fried. He eventually bribes me with like a cake. So currently I have a KFC cake sitting in my fridge that I haven't even touched. So that was a whole thing. And then I get home and I'm like going through all my stuff being like, oh, well, I guess, you know, that's a shoot that I'm not going to be able to talk about the wedge fries. In the poppers, they accidentally put a wedge fry or 2. I think there were like 2 in there. One like normal sized one like smaller one. So I did technically try the wedge fries. And spoiler alert, I didn't like them. I'm not a wedge fry guy. I didn't expect to like them. Somehow, even though I ordered some and I didn't get them, I still somehow ended up with like 2, and I didn't really like them. So yeah, I'm not a wedge fry guy. So that was that. Now, you may say, okay, so you had all these issues. Does that mean KFC is dead for you forever? No. Because, well, yes, they fucked up everything. I think the combo I ordered came with like 4 or 6 of the hot and spicy wings. When I say they fucked up everything, I think they gave me like 12 wings. You know, I think I ordered 6 and they gave me 12. So they technically gave me more food on that front. Could that have been, you know, they preempted the whole fryer being broken thing? Totally possible. But I did get more wings from them. So that's like, okay. To be fair, I didn't know that until I got home. But yeah, they gave me more. And then I actually had the wings. And you want to know what? I hit that 1 in 10. The 1 in 10 chance KFC was good, I fucking hit that. The hot and spicy wings were fantastic. They weren't dry. The hot and spicy wasn't too hot or spicy. They had good flavor. I'd never had a deep fried chicken wing before. Like, when I think of KFC, I think of, like, the thighs, the drumsticks. I don't really think of, or like, a whole wing. I don't, like, you know, when you go to, like, Buffalo Wild Wings or, you know, Wingstop, I don't think of those wings as fried. I don't think I've ever had a fried version of those wings. KFC's actually wasn't that bad. I just got lucky. I know I hit that 1 in 10 odds, that 10% chance. I rolled my crit, but it was good. I genuinely enjoyed the wings. They were good, they were crispy, decent flavor, moist, you know, not dry at all. Admittedly, they also forgot my sauce. That's another thing that pisses me off about most chicken places, is that they forget my sauce. Like, even Cane's, you know, the place known for sauce. I order, you know, a Cane's sauce, and they have forgotten it in the past. Specifically when I'm, like, not ordering a combo, when I order, like, a chicken sandwich or something, they have forgotten the Cane's sauce in the past. Like, that's just a general rule about Dave's Hot Chicken, Slim Chickens, you know, they all kind of fuck things up. Don't even get me started on churches. So, you know, them forgetting their sauce didn't surprise me at all. Not even a fight I wanted to have, because they've done it so many times. But luckily, earlier in the week, I actually homemade some ranch. So, admittedly, that probably helped out a little with it being, like, really good, is because I had homemade ranch that was very good. So, yeah, KFC, I hit that 1 in 10, and it was fantastic. That means the next time I'm completely fucked. Like, whatever it is they do next, I'm completely fucked. And sure, the service was a mess, but man, were those wings good. I think the hot, you know, if you're like a big hot and spicy guy, I didn't think they were too spicy. Like, they definitely had a kick, but nothing super strong. They're not, I'm sure people would want them to be more heavily coated, or for them to do something with the batter. I don't know. But I liked them. I was genuinely impressed with KFC. The chicken sandwich was okay. You know, I actually had it the next day, so I did technically reheat it. It was okay. But the wings were great. So I guess, you know, I'd recommend them, but try at your own peril. Because if you don't hit that 1 in 10, you're kind of fucked. But I got lucky. I got lucky and I actually had a good meal. Even if getting to it was a fucking nightmare. And now that I have a cake that I don't know what to do with. Because I got cookies earlier in the week. And yeah, that, like, I got Tates. Like, I bought a pack of Tates. Man, I'm not a, like, a hard cookie guy. Like, I know there's, like I think of, like, Chips Ahoy has, like, crunchy and, like, soft. I'm not a crunchy cookie guy. I like a soft, like, gooey cookie. Tate's is, like, the one exception. They're good. Oh my gosh. So yeah, that's specifically, you know, I've had Tate's cookies. I haven't needed to have. So, okay, so with these mouse holds, real quick. Sometimes I look at them, and it kind of looks yellowish, but I think that's because of the lighting. It makes the shirts look white. And so because the blue shirt looks white, that kind of makes the pants look like more yellow. It's weird. This is either gonna be a lot better at night, or this is going to fucking suck at night. I don't know, but yeah, it's kind of hard to tell sometimes. So that's that. That's KFC. The other time I had chicken this week was I went to Chick-Fil-A. Well, okay, I didn't go to Chick-Fil-A. I don't really do Chick-Fil-A. You know, here's the thing. I've heard from people in the LGBTQ that while Chick-Fil-A is like a fucked up business, they still go to it occasionally because they are good. Admittedly, my thing has been that, but also I think they're a little overrated. Like, they're decent, like, they're definitely more consistent than, like, a KFC or, you know, a Wendy's. Because I think Wendy's can also be hit and miss with chicken. But, you know, so they're more consistent, but I just don't think they're as good. Like, I'd take Popeyes any day of the week. Admittedly, there's a bunch of places I'd take Chick-Fil-A over, but, like, I don't really go out of my way to have Chick-Fil-A. I've at most had it, like, I at most have it, like, once a year. So, this year, you know, my roommate was going there, like, oh, do you want anything? And I remember seeing a thing that they added, a pretzel bun chicken sandwich. It's a pretzel cheddar chicken sandwich. And I was like, you know what? I do like a good pretzel bun. I don't know how everybody feels about pretzel buns. I think they're decent. When done right, they can be pretty decent. Like, at like Alamo, I had a fantastic pretzel burger. So, you know, they can be very good, but, you know, some places like Wendy's had them for a while, and sometimes they were kind of stale. So it really depends. But I was like, you know what, let me try this. Hey, they have a new lemonade. Let me try that. And then instead of fries, they have like Chick-fil-A sauce flavored potato chips. So I ordered that. I tried it. And yeah, it was all around pretty decent. The chicken sandwich, it's got bacon on it. It's got cheddar. I think that was it. I don't think it had like a sauce or anything. The big thing, you know, was the pretzel bun. And yeah, it was decent. It tasted like a chicken sandwich. I don't think the pretzel bun wasn't like hard or anything. If anything, it just didn't really stand out. Like, it wasn't anything special. It was okay. So yeah, the chicken sandwich, again, it's better than the KFC one I had. I'll say that. It was an all-around decent. I think cheddar on a chicken sandwich is fine. I think there are better cheeses, but I think cheddar is a fine cheese. So I had that. The cherry thing, when I ordered it, I was like, oh, give me like, it's like a cherry lemonade. I guess it's supposed to be like a cherry Sprite. I didn't know that. The one thing I will say I like about is their lemonade. I think they've got decent lemonade. It's not like I like Cane's as well, but Cane's is like very sticky. There's at least like Cane's is like a little bit more artificial, whereas Chick-fil-A's actually has like lemon in it and whatnot. But I was like, yeah, give me this cherry lemonade. I didn't know it was supposed to be like a cherry Sprite. It was good. You know, it was an all-around very solid lemonade. Not like... yeah, I like Chick-fil-A's lemonade. What can I say? I don't really get it. Like I said, only like once a year. But it was decent. And then the final thing was like the Chick-fil-A sauce they put on their chips. And those were also okay. There's a part of it, like... It reminds me of, like, I've used this comparison in the past. When you take, like, a chicken ramen packet and put it on, like, fries or chips or whatnot. That's kind of what the flavor... like, it's got, like, that umami flavor. I definitely think by, like, the time I, like, finished the bag, I was definitely getting more of that, like, Chick-fil-A sauce. But sometimes it was just kind of, like, generic ramen umami flavor. It was fine. I don't know. I know last I heard people were mad at their wedge fries because they like changed like how they did wedge fry, or not wedge, how they did waffle fries. Yeah, that was it. I know people were mad at Chick-fil-A for changing their waffle fry recipe, which admittedly, I don't know what they changed. Maybe a different oil, different seasoning. Not entirely sure. I just know people were mad at that. And yeah, it was... The sauce, you know, chips. The chips are also like Ruffles. They're a kettle chip. I think that's what it is. I think it's a kettle chip. They were okay. I've never had their chips before. I don't think I'd go out of my way to get them again, but you know, I wanted to try it. So yeah, that's the thing about Chick-fil-A. You know, if you look past the blatant homophobia and God, all their other many problems. Actually, not bad. It was perfectly acceptable. Probably one of the better things I've actually had in these past few weeks. Because I know I've been, I was disappointed with the new Taco Bell Mountain Dew. I was disappointed with, the new Wendy's sauces. I know I've been disappointed a lot recently. This is definitely one of the, like, more solid things. Like, I feel like this is probably more consistent. Because that is one of the things I do know about. Like, I complain about, like, all these places, like, fucking up my order. Because I've been very unlucky recently. Like, that's the thing. I've been very unlucky. I know Chick-Fil-A has, like, one of the lowest fuck-up rates in the industry. I want to say Wendy's is the highest, and Chick-Fil-A is the lowest. That sounds right in my head. But in exchange, Chick-Fil-A has the longest drive-thru. I don't know. I probably won't have them again anytime soon. Alright, so let's talk about the videos game I played. I played Peak. So we've talked about Peak in the past. If you don't know, this is a, for lack of a better term, a friend slop game. Where you and 3 other friends team up to climb a mountain. You know, you go through different biomes, you go through the tropics, the new biome, the Mesa, there's a volcanic region. So they did all this. It's a very fun game with the right group of friends. It's fun to watch people stream on Twitch. Highly recommend Ray Navarez Jr., Chibi, Matt. I want to say Nags is their 4th. If you're looking for, like, if you were like a fan of, like, classic Achievement Hunter, oh my god, that group, I know there's 2 Achievement Hunters in there, but them playing Peak gives you some classic vibes. So it's an all-around fun game. You know, I'd played a little of it, not too much, mind you. I don't even think I'd ever successfully beaten it, but I hadn't, you know, I like the developers. Both Landfall Games and Aggro Crab are 2 developers I have a lot of respect for. You know, Landfall I've been following since, God, Cluster Truck was announced. Yeah, probably like maybe not since it was announced, but definitely since like that Vine Sauce played the first Cluster Truck demo. I've been following them for a long time now. Aggro Crab, meanwhile, I started following with another Crab's Treasure. I went back and I played Going Under, which is a great game. And yeah, you know, I'm excited for whatever they do next, but currently they're working on Peak. They've made a lot of money off of it. Don't go play the Roblox. You know, it's like a $5 game. I think I got it for like $5, and I've definitely gotten my money's worth out of it, even if I've played more solo now than I have with other people. So that's some of my thoughts. I think it's an all-around decent game. Is it going to make Game of the Year? I mean, with the story I'm about to tell, it actually might. Because I've had a great time playing it this past week, but not for any reasons that the game was intended to be played, if that makes sense. So, like I was saying, in the most recent update, they added a new Mesa biome. And it's got tumbleweeds, it's got cactuses, it's got tornadoes, it's got scorpions, it's got the whole shebang. You know, they added in a bunch of new stuff, they added in a bunch of new items for you to use. Just, you know, the first, like, big update in the game. Cool, I'm glad they're still supporting it, I'm glad they're doing new stuff. And as part of this update, they added a new item called the Player Cannon. It kind of works like, you know, a Donkey Kong barrel or like a Kirby cannon, where you can place it down, you aim it first, then you place it down, a player jumps in, another player lights it, and then the players like shoot across. So, you know, you can shoot across gaps, you can shoot to higher elevations. It's a whole fun thing. It's a very simple mechanic, but you know, it's a neat addition. Well, within a few hours of this item being added, players figured out that if you put a backpack into the player cannon, then jump in front of the backpack. The backpack gets launched with a bunch of momentum that then travels to the player that launches you at Mach speed. And basically, you can spawn at like the beach, at the plane wreck, and one of the starting 2 suitcases can have a cannon in it. And this launch is so powerful that it can blast you from the start of the game to the end of the game. You can go through all the layers, the shore, the tropics, the mesa, the kiln. You can do all of that in a minute. So, you know, the speedrun went from like 45 minutes down to cannon glitch being a single minute. Even less than a minute. I think last I checked the world record was like 46 seconds. So people found this out. A lot of people started using it, you know, just for fun, for speedrunning and whatnot. And I saw, you know, people talk about it and was like, you know what, that looks kind of fun. Let me try it out. So I did so I booted up the game, updated it, did the cannon glitch. And yeah, in like 2 minutes, I beat the game. I was able to get a run that was, yeah, like, I say it probably took me like, it took me a bunch of retries to eventually get a run to start the cannon. Then I had to learn the glitch, because you can't just put yourself in the cannon and shoot yourself. You have to like ragdoll while you're doing it, or else you'll like lose your momentum. But you know, after a few tries, I figured it out and I got a 2-minute run. And I was like, oh yeah, that was a lot of fun. So, of course, I went to speedrun.com to see, like, hey, what's the world record? How are people doing this? And basically, when I looked it up... let me see, do I still have it here? Yeah, so if I look at the leaderboards right now... Shiny Mudspray. It's funny, because, so, we just caught a Shiny Mudspray. The event going on right now is for Shiny Mudspray. Because currently the event running that I haven't updated the game for, is Shiny Mudspray, Shiny Wooper, and third Shiny. Wow. Okay, so I guess next week we only need one less. We'll still get 2 anyways. Okay, so looking up on the speedrun.com peak, just normal category, not category extensions. If we go here, so we can see on the leaderboards, any percent cannon glitch, the world record set 8 days ago was 45 seconds. I think when I saw it, the world record was 46 seconds and 80. I think there's been one record to break that. But so I saw those records and was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I can probably get an under a minute run. And so that's when I started trying. I saw those records and I've put over 10 hours into the game. There's a mouse hold. Cool. You know, I'm never 100% sure with some of these guys until I hit them. So I saw those records and was like, okay, I can try to get a speedrun record here. Let me start doing runs. So it was kind of, you know, it's kind of the speedrunning thing where you start off, you're getting better and better. You know, I went from a 2-minute time to like a 1 minute 20 seconds. Then I got it down to 1:10. And eventually, eventually you start getting like 1:06. And then I got worse. And it was like, oh, I'm back to getting like 1:10, 1:13. You know, I was struggling for a little bit there. And then eventually, I got my run down to 1:03. Now, 1:03 is the in-game timer. Timing it outside of the game, I was able to time it out under 59 seconds in 600 milliseconds. That was my own personal time, which at the time I did the run would have put me in 11th. It would have made me the 11th best runner in the game. Since then, so I did the run that night. This was on like Saturday or Sunday. I did the run. I submitted it to speedrun.com. I found out, because I went on the Discord to see, like, what was going on. There have been over 400 runs submitted since, you know, this whole canon glitch thing. I don't think they're all canon glitch, but some of them definitely are. So it was like a holy shit moment. So even though a week later, my run has still not been verified. My run for 59 seconds and 59 seconds, 430 milliseconds. That was my run. Has still not been verified. It's still pending. I'm waiting on it. Again, they had 400 runs to go. They've still got some time. But, you know, I submitted it anyways. Currently, if that record did get verified, it would put me in 37th place. At the time, it was 11th. But, again, that was 400 runs ago. So, who knows what's going to happen with that? But, so I submitted that run, called it a night. Over the next day, I was like, okay, let me see what other runs you can do. And I saw one on the related category. There's category extensions. So if you don't know speedrunning, there's category extensions, which are like, okay, we don't want to put this in the main category, but these are runs people can also do. The first example that comes to my head is Mario Odyssey has dog percent. I think Talkatoo percent is also a category extension. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. But so I saw the peak category extensions and saw there was Bing Bong percent. And I was like, oh, okay, so it's, you know, how fast can you get Bing Bong to the top? And at the time, the record was like 1 minute and 8 seconds or something like that. And I was like, I can beat that. So I spent another hour or two trying Bing Bong percent. And sure enough, I was able to get like 1 minute and 3 seconds. So I did that, I submitted it, and I had the world record for like 3 hours. Not very long, but I had the world record. Eventually someone came back and beat it in 1 minute and 2. But so in between, after doing Bing Bong percent and taking the world record, I was like, you know what? Because if you go into category extensions, by default, you're in full game. But on the main category, they do the tenderfoot difficulty, the peak difficulty, which is the default, and then Ascent 7, the hardest difficulty. None of the other difficulties are in the main categories, but they're all in category extensions. And so I went to like Ascent 1, went to category extensions, and saw that not a single person had run glitched Ascent 1. Glitched Ascents 1 through 6. Nobody had done any of the glitched Ascent runs, and I was like, I can probably take all of those. So I spent another like 2 hours doing all those runs. I took Ascents 1 through 6, and I did a run of Ascent 7, just because I could. I think the best time I got was I had a new PB. For Ascents 1 through 6, I think my PB was 1 minute and 1 second, which I'm sure if you time it out, it's probably like 57 or 56 or something like that. And then for Ascent 7, which is back on the main categories, I got exactly 1 minute, which if you time that out, I know that one's 56 seconds, I mean. That one, I have the time, because that one is also still pending. The Ascent 7 Set Seed Solo timed out at 56 seconds, 140 milliseconds. So I submitted that, I submitted all the other Ascents, and, you know, I went to bed. The next day, you know, at some point my run got verified for Bing Bong percent. You know, I had the record, I immediately lost it, and the record somebody beat me with was like 1 minute and 2 seconds. So I was like, okay, tomorrow I'll come back in, you know, I'll have all these other records, and I'll be able to get the Bing Bong record back. Because I 100% believe I could have gotten that Bing Bong under 1 minute and 2 seconds. I firmly believe I could have done that. Especially because, you know, by the time I did all the ascents, I was getting better. And then, so this was like Monday, maybe Tuesday at this point. I get a message from the category extension admins that they have made the decision to ban all canon glitch runs. Is it partially my fault? Probably. Because again, the main runs had over 400 submissions. I have no idea what category extensions was dealing with. I'm guessing it wasn't as bad, but I'm sure they had a bunch of runs. But yeah, I was trying to take all. Admittedly, I was kind of like, hey, my first successful attempt. Nobody's run Ascent 5 yet. My first successful run was the one I submitted. Was I being cheeky? Oh my god, yes. I was being so fucking cheeky with this. But, I wanted to get into races with people. The reason why I submitted all the ascents at the same time was because I knew once I did one, other people were going to try to come in and start doing them. And my hope was like, I'd start like racing other people for these runs. At least that's what I kind of wanted. And yeah, no, instead the category extensions just decided they're going to ban all canon runs, which kind of sucks. I'll be honest, I think the canon runs would have been very fun. And I would have loved to have fought for Bing Bong %. I think that would have been a lot of fun as well. And nope, everything's banned. They just banned Canon Glitch. I do not blame them at all. I totally understand, especially with all the shit going on in the main the main category. I totally get it. But it kind of fucking sucks. So yeah, if you go to speedrun.com, you go to Bing Bong %, you look glitched. My first ever verified run no longer exists. That sucks. So that all sucks. There's a category called Death %. And the idea was that, hey, it's who can be the fastest to die to fall damage, the fastest to poison, fastest to fire, fastest to freeze, fastest to sleep. So some of those fire, freeze, and sleep, nobody has done for glitched. For non-major glitches, freeze is 2 minutes and 56 seconds. So one of the things about the canon glitch is it shoots you very high up in the sky. And on one run, I forgot to grab a flare. Or maybe I grabbed the flare and I put it in the backpack. I'm not entirely sure what happened. Somehow on one of my runs, I shot up, I went all the way to the peak, and I didn't have a flare. And it was like, okay, that sucks. And then I started dying of freeze damage. And I was kind of curious, like, hey, how long did it take me? I died to freeze damage in 2 minutes and 11 seconds. If I could have counted that run, that would have been a world record as well. I was before, because I got the notification at work that they were banned. They banned Canon Glitch. If they hadn't, I was going to submit that freeze to death run. Because I think that's kind of neat. The idea that I did it in 2 minutes and 11 seconds, which, yeah, sure, nobody's run the glitched run, but the fact that it also beats the no major glitches, like, that's kind of cool. So that was my plan. I was gonna do that. I thought it would have been really funny, but they banned Canon Glitch and category extensions. And yeah, I get it. I totally understand. So that's kind of where I'm at. Okay, let me see. Any %, Canon Glitch, Ascent 7. I am currently 7th. Assuming my run gets verified, it will be in 7th place out of 20 runs. I don't know when that's going to happen. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. Because again, 400 runs is a lot to go through. But I really hope those two... I like the at least Ascent 7 one to get verified. Because that is currently my personal... That's my PB. A minute in-game, 56 seconds out of game. I want that to be verified. Because I'm very proud of that run. Other crazy things that happened, the Ascent 5 and the Ascent 6 run. Which I think the Ascent 5 one was like the minute and 1 second. I did back to back. I got, because kind of like, how like Minecraft speedruns, there's like a level of randomness where you have to hope you get certain things. It's kind of the same thing in Peak, but just more controlled. But for Ascent 5, I started the run, got the cannon after like 2 tries. So this was like attempt 2 or 3. I got the cannon, successfully pulled off the cannon glitch, got a minute and 1 second. Then I do first attempt on attempt 6. get the cannon my first try, successful cannon glitch, like 1 minute and 3 seconds. Which is crazy, because the Ascent 6 one felt faster. But no. So, those are 2 runs that are sadly lost, but I was very proud of those back-to-back runs. So yeah, that's what I did. I put over 10 hours into it, probably closer to like 12 actually, over like 4 days, and I had so much fun speedrunning Peak. But, so you may say, well, oh, are you going to try to go back and try, because, right, currently the record for Canon Glitch Ascent 7 is 48 seconds. And for the normal difficulty, it's 45. Are you going to try to aim towards those? You know, theoretically get back into, you know, top 11. I would in theory, except for the fact that in the update that came out today, they did not get rid of Canon Glitch. I want to be clear. Because, you know, the developers of Peak, Landfall, and AgroCrab are fucking G's. They get it. They see the speedrun tech and are like, you know what, that's pretty cool. We'll leave that in the game. So Canon Glitch is still in the game. But they raised the death wall barrier. Because that was one of the things. You were shooting your cannon so high and so fast that you were going over the death walls, the fog walls, at the borders of each of the zones. They've now increased the size of the fog walls, so that way, in theory, you won't be able to skip over the ascents. Totally reasonable. I think it's a good compromise between people using the cannon to break the game and the developers, you know, having their intended way to beat it. I think it's a good compromise. The one thing I do want, put the umbrella in the starting chests. There's an item called the umbrella that allows you to break your fall. If you're going to let me still cannon glitch, currently there's no way to break your fall. You just die. If you do, sometimes you go so high you don't hit the ground. And I'm sure people will find a way to get the cannon glitch to still work. Because I have gone so high sometimes that I'm out of the map. Like, I've had sometimes you're so low you hit the death barrier, but sometimes I've been so high I've been off the map. I have broken the game multiple times where, like, it doesn't even give me, like, a death screen or anything. It just kind of cuts. It doesn't give me a time. It doesn't give me any data. I've had some weird stuff happen. But yeah, I'm sure people will figure out, like, hey, if you do this, you can get fast enough that you clip through the fog barriers. Or that, you know, if you aim the cannon to its highest point, you can still go over, or, you know, there's a rare chance for you to get over it still, even with the increased height. I don't think cannonless is dead forever, but it's definitely, like, changed now. But I think if they put the umbrella as an item you can get in the starting chests, so that way you can set up cannonless, use that, get to the top, and then use the umbrella to get safely down to the bottom. I think that would be really cool. That if you can, like, set that up so that way you can basically skip one of the zones, I think would be a nice compromise. Because I know there's an umbrella, I think that also got added in the most recent update, but I don't know where you get it. I've never seen it. Because I'll be honest, I haven't seen much of the Mesa. The Mesa's kind of, you know, I've mostly flown over it. But no, that like 10, 11, 12 hours I had speedrunning Peak, a great 11 and 12 hours. I had so much fun speedrunning this game that it might make my game of the year just because of that. Even though it's actually a decent game on top of that. Like, I know I keep calling it friend slop. I don't mean that to be an offense. I'm legitimately treating that like a genre. The same way I'd use, like, Metroidvania or Spectacle Fighter. We need a better term. Because I think multiplayer friend game is a fucking awful term. It's like platformer adventure game. What a fucking awful term. Metroidvania, so much better. So yeah, I put a lot of time into Peak. I had a great time. I had a great time speedrunning it. Should I go and do some actual legitimate runs? you know, hop back in the speedrunning Discord and see if anyone wants to do some casual runs. Maybe. But it was a good time. It was a good time nevertheless. Alright, with that, let's talk about South Park, I guess. And let's talk about South Park. So, you know, new South Park episode. So the new South Park episode, I would say it's probably the weakest one of the season. I know people are going to be very excited because of it. I'll tell you, the ending ends on what many are going to call a good note. And I do agree, but I do think it's one of the weaker episodes this season. So the whole premise is that, you know, because of ICE has taken all of Randy's Mexicans. So he can no longer do, you know, Tegrity. So he instead goes to ChatGPT. And he asks ChatGPT, like, hey, how do I run a successful business now that the government has taken all my Mexican farm workers? And ChatGPT comes up with, like, this... ChatGPT, Tally, and Randy come up with this idea where they're going to go break out one of the Mexicans from an ICE detention center, and they're going to rebrand Tegrity from, you know, a weed company into like an AI tech startup. The entire time they're just microdosing shot after shot of ketamine because, you know, that's what tech bros do. And yeah, that's the basic setup. You know, Sharon hates it because, you know, she realizes that ChatGPT is a sycophant, that it just takes whatever you say and says like, oh, that's a good idea, I'm so proud of you. And she calls out Randy for it because it kind of feels like, you know, emotional cheating in a way. Is there even a B plot? I don't even really think there's a B plot to this episode. But yeah, the whole thing is, you know, they're doing their tech startup. They break their Mexican out of, you know, they get one Mexican, which is supposed to, like, save their business. ChatGPT tells them that, like, hey, you know, the big problem with expanding is that, you know, marijuana in this stupid fucking country is still a Schedule 1 drug, right? It's considered on the same severity as heroin, which, if you wonder why, it's so that way they can arrest Mexicans. Literally, that's it. That is the only reason weed is still illegal at the federal level, is so that way the government can use it as an excuse to arrest Mexicans. It's a true fact. You can Wikipedia that. So, you know, they decide to go to Trump, and basically there's this whole thing where people are going to Trump, you know, like the head of Florida, even though they don't use Ron DeSantis, the Tim Apple, some guy from Qatar. They go to Trump, they give him a gift and tell him that he does not have a tiny penis. And so he keeps getting these gifts. You know, he's still in a relationship with Satan. I guess the closest thing we have to a B plot is Satan is trying to get out, but he eventually realizes, like, there is no escaping. We're stuck here. So Randy sends Tally to get a gift, and the gift is Tally. Right, plot twist, Randy is giving Tally to Trump, and Trump turns it into a cum rag. And at the end of the episode, Satan tells Tally, like, we're stuck here forever. As an obvious, like, yeah, we're stuck with Trump for the next 4 years. At least that's how I take the ending. Meanwhile, in the main plot, Randy completely forgets about Tally, is instead, you know, tripping on ketamine, and Sharon comes up to him and pretends to be ChatGPT. And basically tells him, like, hey, I'll take care of everything. You're so good. You tried so hard. We're proud of you. You know, she becomes the sycophant and tells, like, hey, she'll take care of the failing Tegrity business. And with that, the Marshes pack up and Tegrity Farms is dead. And that's right. The episode ends with that, and with Tally being stuck in Washington. Oh yeah, they'll do a whole thing. Tally goes around Washington, and of course you have all the military there, all the landmarks, all the statues have been replaced with Trump and his tiny dick. And yeah, so for some people, this episode is going to be very exciting. Because people fucking hate Tegrity Farms. I don't remember when Tegrity Farms started. You know, it was like a funny bit at first. I love South Park changing the status quo. But by like seasons 22 or 23, people were so fucking sick of it. I personally remember being done with like, I don't want to say Mexican Joker. I don't want to go that early. Let's say Christmas Snow. I was just fucking, like, a few episodes were fine. But when the show became the Randy Marsh Tegrity Farm show, especially by Christmas Snow, I was just so fucking done with it. As much as everybody else. Now, it's funny because they did a whole bit in one of the specials, the Streaming Wars, where Randy kind of gives up on Tegrity Farms and you know, they do a whole song like, "We Missed You, Randy." And that was like supposed to be like a big moment, but then because the specials, you know, nobody gives a shit, I don't even know if they're canon. I don't think it fucking matters if they're canon. But, you know, basically that was all undone. We've had Tegrity this season, and now Tegrity's dead. You know, right, Stan and, the daughter whose name is Sharon is the wife, Shelly, are excited that they're going to be able to move back to their old home, be with their old friends. You know, the status, this is the Krakoa era of South Park is over. I guess that's how I'll put it. And for some people, that's very exciting. You know, they're ready for it to be done. They're ready to be able to go back to classic adventures. And you know what, to be fair, that's kind of what the end of Obesity felt like. That really felt like a classic South Park adventure. And I know that's a bad note. You get my point. I don't know. This season's been fine. I've enjoyed, you know, they've had good spectacle moments. You know, this, you know, fucking Trump stuff has been good. But I don't know how much it's going to hold up in the long run. I guess I'll put it like that. Like, for the moment, you know, seeing Trump get pissed off every week at the show, and seeing them make fun of, like, Charlie Kirk for ripping off Cartman, you know, making fucking J.D. Vance the little bitch boy from Fantasy Island, is funny. But I don't know how well it's gonna hold up. Like, I don't know how much I'm gonna think about this. And I know South Park, you know, a week, you know, 6 days to air. I get it. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't hold up. But I also think a lot of those episodes that do like the references like that, they have staying power. And I don't know if outside of the political commentary, the main plots are enough to be staying power. Well, I guess, you know, time will tell. So yeah, anything else before we get... Because I want to... We found one tandem mouse. I'm going to find one more. There's got to be one more somewheres around here that we can use. And then we'll get into Marble League and all that. Because we only need 2. Anything else I've done? So with the end of this, you know, I still have my Switch. I still have it out. I literally played, I've literally been playing Miitopia on it, even though I admittedly have not touched that game in, like, weeks now. Which sucks, because I'm, like, right next to the final boss. Regardless, one of the things is, you know, I have all these Switch games. I have a drawer filled with Switch games. So many Switch games. And I'm kind of like, I need room. You know I'm not going to be buying like 1,000. Like, currently I only have 2 Switch 2 games. Physical. Donkey Kong and Cyberpunk. You know, I bought Mario Kart digitally. I bought the bundle. But like, I'm not going to, you know, I got to make some room. I've got all these games. So I put a bunch of Switch games. I went through every Switch game I owned physically. And was like, hey, if I don't plan on playing this in the next year, Like, I have no inkling of even playing this. I'm gonna throw it in storage. Like, if there's, like, if there's a 0% chance I'm gonna play this, or, I've replayed it recently, I'm gonna throw it in storage. And when I say storage, I just mean I'm gonna put it in a box in my closet. With, like, my Wii, and my Wii U, and my DS, I have boxes for things. That's what I mean when I say storage. Like, I can go and pick out I literally just pulled the Wii box out of my closet, set it up, and that's how we stream Galaxy. So I did that for the Switch. I still have my Switch out. I'm not ready to put that in storage yet. But I'm at least going to put a bunch of the games. So I did that this week. Going through my games, I put a lot of stuff away. I didn't put everything. There were certain things where it's like, admittedly, the only Pokemon I plan on playing is Scarlet and Violet. I have no intentions of doing, I don't think I'm ever going to play Let's Go Pikachu or Eevee ever again. At least not for a long time. But I kind of kept all the Pokemon games together. Same thing with Sword and Shield. I did a Sword and Shield Nuzlocke, last year. I don't plan on doing another one anytime soon. But I kept them out. Same thing with Legends Arceus. So I didn't put the Pokemon games away, and I didn't put the Xenoblade games away. Just because even though I want to play them, but I don't know if I'm going to anytime soon. So what did I keep? I kept a few things. Just not immediately in storage. I kept Kirby, because obviously Kirby. That made sense. All the Pokemons, all the Xenoblades. Let me look here. I kept Paper Mario, the Thousand Year Door, in Mario RPG. I don't plan on playing them anytime soon, but I'd rather have them than put them in a box. I kept Fire Emblem Three Houses, because I want to play a Fire Emblem. All the other Fire Emblem games I put in the box. But I kept this one. Is this it? There we go. Okay, cool. I kept Metroid Prime Remastered. I'm gonna play that before the new one comes out. I'm waiting for a release date. I kept both Pikmin games. I kept Bowser's Fury, Odyssey, and Deluxe. New Super Mario Bros. Because I think after we beat Galaxy 2, I want to play New Super Mario Bros. Wii. We're going to do that, and, we're going to play the Wii version, but maybe after playing that, I might feel like playing Deluxe again, so I kept that out. I kept Odyssey out for kind of the same reasons. I kept Luigi's Mansion out. I don't really know why. I think it's because I started replaying it last year, and I technically never beat it, so maybe I'll go back and finally finish it. I kept Metroid Dread out, because I do want to replay that at some point, and then I kept both Mario Party Jamboree and Superstars, because you never know when you're in a Mario Party mood. I kept Miitopia, because, I was replaying it right before the Switch 2 came out, and I do want to finish it before the year's out. And then I kept out Smash Bros. Ultimate, because it'd be dumb to get rid of. There's a part of me that might rebuy Smash Ultimate. If it gets an update, if, in the September Direct, if they announce, hey, we're doing an update for Smash Ultimate, I think I'm going to buy the game digitally. Because I just kind of want... As I've gotten older, I've realized there are some games I want physically, and some games I want digitally. Splatoon, Mario Kart, Smash Bros. Those are games I want to own digitally. Whereas, maybe even Pokemon. Honestly, maybe even Pokemon. But games like Donkey Kong, Cyberpunk, Prime 4... those are fine to own physically. So yeah, that's what I kept at the moment. Everything else went into storage. A lot of games. Honestly, a lot of first-party games. Some of which I maybe shouldn't have done. Like, Princess Peach Showtime, I do want to play at some point. But, I don't know, that's going to be an uphill battle to get me to play. Same thing with the two Mario... I gotta do those two... I know Princess Peach Showtime is shorter than the two Mario RPGs. But I put Showtime away anyways. And then, yeah, I had to keep out Kirby, because the Kirby DLC comes out next week, and we're definitely going to play it. I am not on stream, but definitely off stream, I'm going to play the Kirby DLC, and I'm not buying the game again. I'm just playing the Switch version with the DLC purchased. And yeah, other than that, I cleared out a bunch of space. It's funny, because I put my Switch games away before my 3DS games. In the drawer, right, I've got the Switch games, now the Switch 2 games, in a drawer underneath my desk. Underneath that drawer, right, so that's the top drawer is the Switch games. The drawer below that is the 3DS. I put the Switch, the OG Switch away before I put the 3DS away. Which, the problem with the 3DS is that I just don't have enough. Like, the Switch, I bought every game physically that I could. If a game existed physically, I bought it. With, again, like 2 or 3 exceptions. Whereas with the 3DS, I bought a lot less games. You know, okay, I guess here's a better way to put it. With the 3DS era, I was supporting a 3DS into Wii U. 2 separate consoles with 2 separate ecosystems, you know? So when the Wii U went away in 2017, I boxed that fucker up in immediately. Probably not immediately, probably by the end of the year it was probably gone. Whereas the 3DS, I've just, you know, sitting in the drawer, it's just easier. Whereas buying like a big box just for the 3DS just isn't worth it. You know, because like my DS, my Game Boy, and my Game Boy Advanced games are all in the same box. Just because that's easier, you know? But the box is basically full, and there's not enough room to put the 3DS in there as well. So like my hope was that I didn't have so many Switch games I could put the 3DS and the Switch together. That's not going to happen. I have too many Switch games that I couldn't do that, and I don't have so few 3DS games that I couldn't do that. Alright, so I think we just need to level up Mousehold like a level, and it should evolve. Okay, that didn't work. I'm Googling it. So it looks like it needs to be like, basically if I wander around and do some battles, maybe it'll evolve. I don't know. I'll do that later. I'm not gonna worry about that now. All right, let's see our 2 mouse holds, and then we'll go do some Marble League. Oh, and yeah, mud spray. So next week we're gonna be back and we're gonna get another 2 mud sprays. Well, one we're gonna evolve into a Mudsdale, but yeah, look at our 2 mice. I'll be honest, I can like see the yellow, but just barely. I think they're cute. And yeah, the mud spray you can definitely tell. Okay, let's switch over. And let me pull up the Marble League. We got 2 events, balancing and mogul race? Huh, okay. I don't know what that is, but sure. Alright, let's hit back and let's hit that. Did I not? My button. Oh shit, I think my buttons are broken. Well, that's fine. We can hit that. Okay, there we go. We're back to being a marble. I broke it, I guess. I don't know when I did that, but okay. Okay, I guess I broke that at some point. Either way, look at us. We're a marble. I gotta move myself down. Alright, let's get into it, shall we? Oh shit. And I have it muted. Okay, here we go. You know, classic balancing.
Found its way into marble competitions. Not always in the Marble League, but in this case, it makes up event.
So yeah, we've literally got 5. We're getting 2 events today, and then we got 3 after that.
Hey everybody, I'm Greg Woods.
Is this a showdown event?
An event that also has not seen a lot of repeat winners. Certainly none in the Marble League proper, although we have had some repeat winners like the Minty Maniacs that won it in 2020. You go back to the Hubalino tournament, they won it in 2018.
Oh God, the Hubalinos.
There you see our standings. The Oceanics
I still
jumped
love
up
this.
to the
I love
top
this little marble.
spot of the standings after last round over Mellow Yellow, but it's only a 3-point margin and 1 medal between them. Midnight Wisps sitting a further 7 points back in third. Savage Speeders with the silver medal jumped up.
We're doing okay.
5 spots into fourth.
We are doing okay. I think we'll be fine.
Sitting in a solid 5th. Melons are going to give us a preview of how this goes. And there you can see it. That center line, the farther down you can hold it. Get to that catch basin, no, but does get past 120.
And the Rangers are starting us
gets
off.
a full pull there. Here are the Rangers.
Is this one where the lowest team is out?
Side,
where like the
bottom.
lowest one
It
doesn't count?
2022 Marble
No,
League
okay, they all count.
qualifiers.
I know there's one
Keep that
event
in
where the
mind.
lowest, like the
254,
worst
the
scoring,
top mark.
doesn't matter.
Midnight Wisps got second here in the 2022 qualifiers. The Golden Wisps, if you remember
that
them,
did not look
won this in the Hubalino tournament back in 2016.
that last one, but the
234,
others.
not going to challenge for the top spot. The Snowballs.
And I can't remember if getting in the catch basin is a 0
yet
or
to get a gold medal over the course of these
if it's one of
games.
those events or
Did
not.
get
If it's
one
just max
into
points.
that catch basin all the way down there. It was very close.
Okay, it is
but
max
managed
points
to
of
drop it
130.
in.
Okay, that is good
130
to know.
compared to 120 like we saw in that opening run.
'Cause I
in
could
the
not
example
remember.
where you miss the basin, but you do get all the way to the end. The Cobalt Possum, shout out to one of the team's sponsors. Cobalt's got one holding on there. It rides the rail of that basin, does not go in. Good enough for a 120.
Yeah.
Total score 245 between the 4 marbles, losing 2 in
Oh
the
my God,
20s.
that's not good.
Definitely does not help.
We're aiming for at least 300. You know,
Balls of
350
Chaos.
would be preferred.
Winners from back in Bocce.
I don't know. I
They
don't
get one
think
dead
we're
down
good
the
at this
middle.
event. I don't know. I
That'll
can't.
give them a solid 130. But
The
look at
only event that
everybody
I can
else.
remember we're good at is funnels.
And they lost that one at 28.
That's
but
it.
2 in
I
the
know we're good at
50s
other
put them into
stuff,
second
but the only
place,
one I'm pretty sure we're like
269.
relatively decent at is funnels.
Limers desperate for a good result. They keep 3 of them on, 2
Wow.
make it all the way to the end. And that will put the Limers into P1.
Yeah.
375 for the Limers. Bumblebees.
So what's the max is what,
Saw that
520?
Now they think, okay, how can we...
There's
better
no
that
way
one?
that's
They've
gonna
got 2
happen.
and they match it. Silver medalists back in the 2020 qualifiers in this very event. 360 puts them
Yeah, look at that.
just short in second. Jeremy and Bree, Orange and Momo. Shout out to the team sponsors for Mellow Yellow. And
I just look over and I
needed a
see
bit
our
more
marble, and
guidance
I
down
love that.
the middle of the course because they lost everybody prior to 75. 201, 8th of
I don't know. I'm
8
getting more return
for
on
Mellow
investment for
Yellow.
this than I am the
Are
Superman.
winners of this event back in 2023. Halfway through, and there you see, it will take some green numbers to get up there. Speaking of getting up there, it's a tall climb to the top of the Skyway
Do I still have my
Chase
TV hooked
Marble
up?
Run set.
Yeah, I do. I didn't take a better...
Watch how the marbles
I completely
handle
forgot. I was going to
all
take a
kinds
better
of obstacles,
picture.
all
I even
kinds of
had an
fun
idea on how to get a better
possibilities
marble picture.
Are endless. Check it out.
Maybe for the finale next week,
Store online. Wait a minute.
I'll do
Who's
that.
that rolling down? Oh no, we've got somebody that made it onto the edge of the course. The security marbles are heading down there to try to surround him. Yeah, streaker, not what you want to see in top marble
I'm
competition
surprised
on
we
a
had
couple
this.
of
That's
fronts.
like the first thing that's happened
Yeah,
this
looks
year.
like, yeah, you hear some
There's-
hoots and hollers from the crowd there.
O'Rangers have read a pretty
Others
clean
are
ship,
quite
which I mean,
shocked
I get it.
that
It's the
marble made it down
O'Rangers.
there. All right,
You get out of
has them
line,
apprehended.
you get shot.
Everybody's so focused on the precision of balancing. It's kind of
Do you ever think that
mesmerizing
like
watching these marbles get
the
there,
World
but
Cup
security
is supposed to
gotta
be
keep
in?
their eyes out.
I can't remember if the World Cup is in
Pinkies
Mexico, the
coming up
U.S.
now.
and Canada, or if the
Won this
Olympics is in
event
Mexico
the
and U.S. and
qualifiers
Canada.
in 2022.
I know
They've
one
got
of them
2 in the
is in
basin.
just the U.S. and the other are split between the 3. But do you ever think that, like, next year we're going to have, like, the World Cup and nobody's going to come? Or at least to the America games? Because, like, nobody wants to be deported by ICE. Trump's the fucking president. Like, it's the 250th anniversary of our country. And Trump's the fucking president. Like, it should be a celebration next year. And instead it just feels like the country's writing its suicide note.
Oh my goodness.
Like, fuck.
Crowd very nonplussed at that one. Savage Speeders are
like, we should be celebrating.
The previous event.
And there's just nothing to celebrate.
It just got them started at an angle from the get-go.
You know, the World Cup should be a great thing for our tourism. And tourism's in the fucking gutter. I don't know if you've seen the Vegas numbers. The Vegas numbers aren't good.
In the qualifiers of 2020 and 2022, however. And, whoa, going right off the end
all the way
of
off.
The contraption.
So that's a 120, right?
One of the members of the Green Ducks walks that tightrope, does get credited with 120, and puts them at a 299. Good enough for 5th. 4 teams left. Raspberry Racers are one of them. 8th in the standings. They dropped. Can they get 2 here? They do.
That's 2 good ones. But I don't. Not the other 2 were awful, so that does not help them.
Those other marbles come in.
Wow, still 300. Holy shit.
A 36 brings them to a 307.
That's actually kind of surprising.
Blackjacks, 1 gold medal, and that's it in these games. As a result, they're down in 12th. They keep 1 marble. Locked on that center line, but dropped 3 of the others really early. 202, 12th of 14. Oceanics up now. Our championship leaders. 3 medals, 2 of them gold. They're going to get 1 finisher. 1 rode for quite a while, but 2 dropped off early. This is only going to be middle of the pack. 7th for the Oceanics. That means the Limers guaranteed.
Come on, we gotta beat 300. Come on, I believe. I believe we got this.
Winner of this event back in 2022.
Okay, we got 1 in, 2 went far. I think we're good. I think we beat 300.
And only
yeah, you know what? I'll take 5th.
Cannot
I'll take 5th.
The one team that had yet to medal.
Yeah, so everyone got a medal.
Kind message there from Jeremiah K. In the midst of all of this celebration.
Was it the Pinkies who had medal?
The Limers are gold medalists.
Because I think the Limers had a medal. I don't remember. It might have been the Limers that didn't have a medal. Either way, I will take 5th. I will take 5th. You know, there's a lot of teams we needed to do better than. And the Limers, I think, both the Limers and the Pinkies, I think are pretty. Honestly, all 3 of those teams might be pretty low. And so them doing, you know, some of those other better, higher-ranked teams doing worse helps us out a lot. Like the Oceanics there, getting 8th, that helps us a little bit. The Midnight Wisp being 13th, that helps us. I don't remember what else. But yeah, the Limers being last, that's, you know, that's going to be fine. I hope.
What does this do to our overall standings? The Oceanics are holding on, 11 points clear.
We still fell a place.
Bumblebees up 6.
Right smack in the middle.
No longer in last, and everybody has a medal.
No. Yeah. Yeah, okay, that's right. Eek. Okay, sure, Fritless, another time. Alright, let's do the Sand Mogul. Yeah, I still think we're in a decent position. I know we're halfway down, but I still think we're fine.
Right now,
you know, 1 good medal brings us up a lot.
Will it also begin the slow and steady elimination of teams that thus far?
Yeah, because we're getting close to some of those.
Eligible to win the overall championship. We're about to find out. Hey, everybody. I'm Greg Woods. This is also a showdown event, which means there's only a couple of those left, too. Here are the overall standings for the Marble League proper through 12 events of the 16, and you will notice after the last event everybody has at least one medal. That's what we love to see.
I mean, that was last year as well. Us in the Balls of Chaos in the very last event each got our medal.
And the newly last
At least I think it was the Balls of Chaos. It might have been Team Primary.
Over in the showdown, it's Team Plasma and Shining Swarm locked atop the standings, just 2 points clear.
Oh, yeah. So we are still, you know, in the showdown where we want Team Plasma, just because, why not?
Contest there, the showdown.
Pokemon team.
It has it in droves. Here's the demo run for the Sand Moguls, and you can see how bumpy and chaotic this will be. Do you go flat out and try to build up your speed as quickly as possible, knowing that the Moguls may throw you whatever direction they please, or do you navigate them with a bit more precision? We've got a new record in this one, and I believe that is also because the ramp is at a slightly new angle this year, so take from that what you will. Jungle Jumpers, Shining Swarm, Wolf Pack, oh, and the Minty Maniacs, and we are off, and it's the Maniacs leading the way, weaving side to side. The Wolf Pack get up into second place, and I think held on behind the Maniacs. That was a great dive to the line. Ooh, they actually made a move for the lead, did not get it done, and that briefly opened the door for the Jungle Jumpers to sneak on by. They just ran out of real estate. Maniacs are through. Up at the top, along with the Wolfpack, Hazers, Gliding Glaciers, Team Plasma, and Solar Flares. Hazers, their lead diminishing, but they go nearly wire to wire in front of Team Plasma.
Okay, where's Team Plasma still in it?
7061, 7259. Solar Flares and Gliding Glaciers, they are eliminated. Indigo Stars, Turtle Sliders, Rojo Rollers, and Team Primary. Shout out to the team sponsors, the Marblecast. Off we go. We had 3 wide for a moment. Turtle Sliders. Clear that one by several lengths.
How are the Turtle Sliders doing this year? Because I still do think of them as the worst team in the league.
Indigo Stars.
They may not be. I think they're actually doing decent this showdown.
On back to Team
but
Primary.
in my mind, they will always be the worst team in the league. Well, okay, the Jawbreakers don't exist anymore, so yeah, they kind of are.
Crazy Cat's Eyes, Purple Rockets, and the Thunderbolts. Purple Rockets, the only team that cannot.
And there's just a bunch of, you know, Crazy Cat's Eyes falling from grace.
Numbers will be updated after this one. And a great trundle down over these Sand Moguls. That was an easy win.
So I'm worried about this one, by the way.
For the Thunderbolts.
Like, I know we're a decent race team, but we're also a bad bump team.
Big gap back to Crazy
Little
Cat's Eyes.
dents like that really do trip us up. You know, I'm thinking of Corn Maze a few weeks ago.
That are moving on. Thunderbolts in 13th place in the showdown. Based on time, 9th through 16th is set. Crazy Cat's Eyes dead last. They're 4th place in the standings right now. So that is a bit of a shift. Maniacs, Sliders, Rockets, and Plasma. In semifinal 1, down we go. Purple Rockets leading the way, and they're trying to close the door. They move to block the Turtle Sliders. It works. Those two will advance. Plasma and Minty Maniacs are out.
I definitely, looking at my marble,
short of making the
I'm
finals.
definitely, you can tell when like when it's just me and it's only the mouth and like a little bit of character movement. It's a little harder to tell like when I accidentally like make a noise or whatever. But in this, one little tap and yeah, it like completely rotates.
Take the lead. Thunderbolts move into second, and it's disaster for them. They fall to last. We get a challenge at the
I know there was a part of me I was thinking like, how do I
Hazers
3D scan a marble?
Look at the speed difference here.
So that way I can have like a full like model. Because I think that's the more commitment I put into the bit, I think the funnier it gets. Like, I already think it's kind of funny. But I think, like, the idea of, like, me having a whole, like, 3D model that, like, tracks my movements would be so much funnier.
For the Wolfpack.
Until I just inevitably become a marble.
They'll take a 7th here. Turtle Sliders, Purple Rockets.
I don't know. I just know if I do it, if I, you know, update it or, like, get better pictures, it's literally just going to be a different marble. There's no way I find this specific one again. Even though it's only like a 1 in 10 shot, I can almost guarantee you I'm going to fuck up that 1 in 10.
Indigo Stars comes second. Hazer's a distant third.
Yeah, God,
Purple
what's
Rockets
with the
even
Turtle
farther back
Sliders?
with their reserve blast.
In the Indigo Stars, neither of you are
fourth,
supposed to
but
be
they will
good.
take a fourth
Hazers are
place.
allowed to be good,
Considering they had
even though they've had
2
nothing but
points
off years.
coming into this event.
They're allowed to be good, not
Just 2.
you other two aren't. Team Plasma did okay.
To the captain,
6th isn't bad.
Crush.
And then, yeah, there's one more
Earning
showdown event.
20 points, elevating the sliders up to 66 and fifth
God,
place
yeah,
in
the
showdown
sliders in
over
first
Plasma
is
and Indigo
wild.
Stars.
They should not be that good.
Well, that was a good showdown. You can have as many showdowns as you want in the comfort
Like,
of your
you're
own
the
home.
first,
Check out
you're,
the
you know,
Skyway
you're the
Chase
team that's going to
set.
be replaced by the,
All right, let's get your groove on.
fucking,
What are we doing out here? Texas
what are they
two-step,
called? The Golden
line
Orbs.
dancing.
Like, if any team dies, it's the Turtle Sliders,
Good moves
and the
up there
Golden
on the
Orbs
dance
come
cam.
back.
Building the energy
Actually,
before
fun,
we
so
get
there's a,
ready to
they do
award the
TikToks and
medals.
whatnot. And the Golden Orbs actually
Some
did come
reluctant
back in a
dancers
TikTok.
in there as well.
Both the Golden Orbs and the Quicksilvers
All
did
are
a
set to
rodeo
hear whatever dance
TikTok.
styles you want.
And it was kind of like, oh, that's neat to see. You know, when
And
was the
these
last time we
marbles
saw
will
the
be
Golden Orbs and the
jitterbugging down this
Quicksilvers?
course.
To be fair, I understand
We
the
saw how bumpy it
Quicksilvers.
was in
The
the
Quicksilvers
showdown.
are the worst
Rangers,
team in the
Green
league.
Ducks,
I get why they
Climbers,
don't come
and
back.
Balls of
But it was neat
Chaos
to see them again.
are off and contact already. Limers and Green Ducks will cross the line.
Yeah,
the
good.
Rangers will come just short.
I mean, the
They will not
Limers
move on.
desperately need it. They're one bad play
And we've
away from
reset
being
the
able to not
record.
qualify.
The Limers take it.
Not that I want them to, because, like, fuck them,
6,
but
5,
still.
7 is the new mark to beat. Again, you just have to move on out of your heat. Momo, Savage Speeders, Cobalts, and the Pinkies. Cobalt's in the lead. Pinkies try to make a move. Weaving back behind are the Speeders.
Yeah, this
but
is
they
just
can't gain.
the Savage
Top
Speeder
two will stay in
dynasty
that order.
might end this
Over
year.
the line, 2-3 lengths between them.
I say
Cobalts
might.
and Pinkies
Again, there's still 3
advance.
events. Anything can happen. But yeah, it looks like this is the end of the Savage Speeders dynasty, which is
Two teams
wild
that
for
are
it to
middle
happen
of
in the
pack
10th
right
year.
now. Savage Speeders.
Like,
in
this should
fifth,
be their
Snowballs, Mellow
third,
Yellow,
you know, this,
Bumblebees,
as the one
and
team with
Midnight
2
Wisps.
wins. This should be like their big like celebration.
Bumblebees in front. Here comes Snowballs. Trying to hold off Mellow Yellow. They do. Midnight
We're probably up
Wisps
against the O
will
Rangers
not
and the
move
Raspberry
on
Racers.
either.
That's not
So right
good.
of the line, you can see him converging. Snowballs trying to get in front of Mellow Yellow to prevent the
Yeah,
pass.
those are
and
not good
did
matchups for us.
by just
Even though it's going to
a
be
couple
so
of hundredths of
satisfying
a
if we beat
second.
the O Rangers.
Blackjack.
Okay, just the Raspberry Racers. I
Oceanics
can
are
take that.
championship leaders. Team
Come on,
Galactic
Starry,
and
you got
Raspberry
this.
Racers. Off we go, Galactic.
All right,
at
good
the lead.
start.
Blackjacks, they go to the near
Okay,
side.
yeah, hit a
They
bump,
take the lead.
and that's it.
Oceanics get by.
You got third. You started off strong, but like
Right
I
at the
said,
last.
bumps are just not our thing. We're not a good... Little bumps and tricks like that have
Siren
destroyed
over
us in
Club
the
by a tenth
past.
of a second. Team Galactic and the
So,
Raspberry Racers.
yeah, we're both out.
Also 2 middle-of-the-pack teams. They are done.
Yeah,
Rangers finish best of the
we needed
eliminated
that,
marbles
and that's
in ninth.
bad. I mean, not as bad as the
Speeders
Raspberry
on down
Racers, but
to
that's still not
Raspberry
good.
Racers.
Oof.
Surprised their Midnight
It's
Wisps
gonna
finishing as low
the
as they did.
whole
They're in
not
third
being
in the
able to
standings.
podium
Bumblebees,
is gonna
Blackjacks,
come
Pinkies,
quick.
and
It's
Limers
gonna
are
come
released.
quick and it's gonna hit hard.
Down the course they come. Blackjacks, Pinkies.
I might have
Bumblebees.
completely missed the Rangers doing these.
Marbles
I don't know,
really
you can
taking
tell,
to
like,
this
there's only,
course
like,
the farther into
the
this
only
tournament that we're
teams
getting,
I keep
they're
track of at
understanding
any
the
time
undulations better.
are the Green
Club
Ducks,
and
the
Pinkies
Raspberry
will move on,
Racers,
the Limers
the O Rangers,
out,
the Savage
along
Speeders,
with
and the
the
Cobalts.
Bumblebees.
Of course, not
Bumblebees
talking
in
about my
fourth
own team,
in the
because
Marble
obviously I keep
Green
track of
Ducks,
them.
Cobalts.
But when it comes to other
Snowballs
teams,
and
there's only
Oceanics in
6
the
I
other
actually like
semifinal.
pay attention to.
Cobalts get
The other
passed
2,
by the
and
Oceanics.
Cobalts is
They
only
try to
this year,
fight back, and
because
they
this is
do.
their redemption year.
Oh, Oceanics
That's it.
get
Normally
a
I
run
would
of
not
it
give
at
a
the
shit
end.
about the Cobalts.
Moving from first almost down to third, and then the bottom half of the course challenging again for the lead. They didn't need to win it. They just need to be the other blue marble that make
And
it to the
the
finals. And they do
Oceanics doing
along
this
with the
well does not
Cobalts.
help us either.
Snowballs
That's
and Green
bad.
Ducks are out. Snowballs the best of the rest from 5th down to 8th. Three of these teams will medal, one will not. Will it be Oceanics, Blackjacks, Pinkies, or Cobalts for gold in the Sand Moguls?
Okay, the
take
Cobalts
the lead.
are up
Blackjacks
ahead.
go the outside, and they will win gold.
All right, Cobalts with the silver.
Cobalts take the silver,
And Oceanics
Pinkies
didn't take
the
it.
bronze.
That's big for us.
And how about
Oh, wow,
a
nice.
Marble League record to go along with that gold medal, Blackjacks?
Yeah, that's good.
A team in 13th in the standings. Their only medal prior to this had been a gold. They add another and a good points haul, and they take home the record, too. Blackjacks win it and stand atop the podium. Congratulations. Blackjacks winners back in block pushing in event number 10, Cobalts were on the podium back then, along with the Bumblebees. Well, this time, it's the Pinkies joining them in third place.
All right, let's see, where does this put us?
In the standings.
We're definitely falling. It's just how
They
far.
want to jump.
Hopefully no more than like
Blackjacks down in
2.
13th. What will they do? Add 25? That is half of the entire distance from first down to last going into this event.
Okay, I think
What does
we'll...
it do?
Oh,
Oceanics
God, we
stay
fell
atop.
3. That's
Cobalts
bad.
go up into second, jumping 5. Pinkies are up 4, and Black...
Okay, let me look at this. Okay, Oceanics still up in top, still with a huge lead. Even though, you know, they're not always... Yeah, I mean, this event they did decent, but not always. They're still just... They're staying like 20 points ahead somehow. Second and third are really close. Again, Cobalt's redemption year. That makes sense. Oh, and fourth as well. Fourth. Okay. So first has almost 20 points ahead. And then every other team is like right there. Yeah, that's 1 point between third and fifth. And then 6, 7, and 8 are all kind of right there. Savage Speeders and the Green Ducks, okay. And then us Snowballs and Green Ducks are all kind of a point apart. And then, yeah, from there it falls. Wow. Nobody's out yet. You know, we've still got some stuff. But it's definitely coming up. You know, we got Collision on the 23rd. We have... whatever on the 24th. Elimination, and then Sand Rally to end it all. So it's all coming down. I wonder which one is going to be just the final showdown. Probably Sand Rally, I would assume so. But it's all going to be close. It's going to... So by next week... Yep, by next week, we will have seen all events. And that'll be an end to the year. It's over. It's been so much better of a year than last year. Even though, you know, we're in 11th right now. Last year, we spent 90% of the time in, like, 16th and 15th. This is so much better than last year. Oh, my gosh. We've got 3 medals, which is 2 more than we had last year. And we only got that final medal in the final event. So, yeah, things are already going better. But, you know, it's not perfect. But to be fair, what else do I expect from Galact 5th? But no, I'm excited for the end of the league next week. Ugh. So yeah, I guess that takes us to our outro. So next week, Kirby comes out. I have no intention... I know we streamed Forgotten Lands when it released. I have no intention of doing Forgotten Lands again. I'm going to replay the entire game on my own. But I'm not going to stream it. And I'll check out the DLC. But we will definitely talk about it next week. I will have hopefully played it. I'm just going to replay the whole thing, because it's been a while. And then other than that, Chibi Robo came out this week. It came out, yesterday, 2 days ago. And I want to replay that, so hopefully I'll get around to that, because it's been like a decade since I last played Chibi Robo. A game I do thoroughly enjoy. And then also Hollow Knight. I'd love to get... Honestly, Chibi Robo is... even though I love those games, and I want to give it another shot, because it's been a while, and, you know, I'm excited to play it again. Because of Hollow Knight, it's definitely going towards the back burner. I'm not streaming Silksong. You guys don't want to see that. But I'm definitely gonna replay Hollow Knight. I'm definitely playing Silksong when it comes out in like 2 weeks. But, you know, that's future me. So with that, I guess that's where we end off. I don't know, what button did I break? Because hotkeys were working last week. I don't know what button I broke there. Oops. Oops. Okay, there we go. There's me. I don't know. The marble I put up higher, whereas me, I'm a little lower. I don't know. Whatever. So yeah, we'll be back next week with all that and more. Yeah, it was a very busy week. I mean, we went for almost 4 hours, just a little under 4 hours tonight. Yeah, I had a good time. So I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Until next time, peace.